that's just a small part of the story. The story was about 17 minutes, and that did not include an interview with a representative from Watson's legal team. That's how the story ended, because they previously had not made themselves available to Real Sports until the 11th hour, as Bryant Gumbel explained after the piece aired. Then they went to a clip that was produced shortly before the piece ran yesterday, in a live interview. So that was pretty much the only rebuttal that Deshaun Watson's team offered during the segment. We talked yesterday about being very careful not to make snap judgments, because we're likely only going to hear one side of the story. We heard more of Deshaun's side than I thought we would, because I knew that Harden said we are not available for this piece. I didn't think we'd get that. We did, which I was glad we did, because it's all information that we use to sort of make up our minds.
Right.
Bull, we'll start with you. How, if at all, did the segment change the way you view this case?
I guess ultimately, I don't think it did. I'm still confused. I still am torn on what the reality is, which I think makes sense because I wasn't there. Obviously, I thought the women came off pretty credible, but I thought Deshaun Watson came off credible when I saw him in his press conference a few weeks ago. I know everybody seems to think that Deshaun Watson's lawyer came off really well. To me, she seemed very like practiced,
coached.
Coached is a good word. Like almost overly prepared, like it was phony. It came off as phony to me, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard not to watch that first woman and not feel sympathy for her. But ultimately, I don't know what happened. Is it possible she did exactly what he said? Yes. Is it possible she's making it up? Yes. Is it possible it's somewhere in between that she didn't want to do it and she went along with it anyway because it was Deshaun Watson and she felt some sort of internal pressure that she didn't make clear to him and then after felt bad? I think that's possible too. That's three different things. I don't know what the truth is.
But nothing you saw swayed you to one side or the other. Tyvis, what about you?
Well, honestly, a lot of the stuff that was said was kind of the stuff that I read about. But it's like the human nature. When you see somebody on video and you see the emotions and you see the tears, it's like, man, that dude, like,
it makes it real.
Yeah, it makes you like, oh, I really feel sorry for them. Like, it probably could have happened. But I think, unlike the Bull here, I thought that the lawyer did a great job. Deshaun Watson's lawyer did a great job of clearing it up, stating the fact that no other lawyers wanted to touch these cases because nothing was there. She brought in a lot of information that I was like, yeah, that does make a little bit sense.
I think that was a strong point.
And it was just the second victim, it was the part that I was hearing the whole story, and then when she got to the part about she contacted him after all this happened, it kind of made me raise my eyebrow a little bit, because it's kind of like,
I can understand
like,
that.
why would you, if somebody did harm, why would you even be in contact with them? So
that was the second woman that was interviewed, and she explained that away. She communicated with him after the first episode, but she never saw him again. She said she was just sort of stringing him along, knowing all along that there was never going to be a second session. You mentioned Leah Graham. She was the spokesperson she's actually on the legal team. She's one of Watson's attorneys. Mikey, if we can put her quote up, this was probably one of the strongest cases that she made. She said it's 22 women, it's one lawyer. There's only one lawyer who is willing to take these cases. And as we know from Ashley Solis's deposition, Mr. Busby was not the first, probably not the second or third lawyer she went to, but he was the only one to take her. Does that, G. Bush, change your impression at all that she had to shop this to multiple lawyers before she landed on Busby and that he's representing all 22 women?
No, not really, because when you're talking about the criminal aspect of it, there's lots of times when you could do something and it may not be seen as criminal, right? So when you go get a lawyer is going to look at it from a criminality standpoint. Do I got a case? Can I get this guy prosecuted? And there's different levels and bars of what you need to prove in order to get that done. And some lawyers aren't going to take that. Some lawyers are risk averse to, hey, I got a conviction rating, I'm trying to get it up.
They're taking slam dunks only.
They only taking layups, right? And so you might have to bring it to multiple different people in order for you to have your case heard. So I don't hold that against them. Now, when you're in a civil case, that's a little different. You ain't got to have all that type of evidence. You can. It's
More
like you
likely
said,
than not that a crime occurred.
51%
That's the bar.
more than likely than not did it happen. And so that is something that other lawyers will take and can take.
Right.
I think that shouldn't be used against the plaintiff.
I don't think it discredits. I thought that statement moved a lot of people. I agree. It didn't move me at all. First of all, just because one lawyer turned down this first woman doesn't mean her case doesn't have merit. We don't know why that lawyer turned it down.
No.
Maybe that lawyer had a relationship with
Does it change if
Deshaun
it was
Watson.
2 or 3? Because she said we know at least 1 and likely 2
Right, but
and 3.
First of all, we don't know that.
We don't know
based
that.
Based on her comments, she didn't say it was definitely.
No, she was very vague, and I wondered why she was so vague.
And maybe Deshaun Watson's got a lot of connections, or people know, who knows what the reason the lawyers turned this down. I think G made a good point, in terms, I don't think, just like we shouldn't judge Watson just because it's 22 cases, we also shouldn't judge the women just because they're all going to the same lawyer.
Very fair point. Very fair point.
Fair.
So guys, here's my takeaway, and this was I was looking for things that I was really surprised by. I did have the luxury of getting an excerpt in text that HBO released to us yesterday, and I was able to read through that. And I have to say, when I read it, it was jarring. It was very jarring. It was part of the excerpt that we just played.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, this plays horribly for Watson in print. If there is emotion attached to this from the alleged victim, it's going to be even worse. Mm-hmm. And as you saw, there was emotion.
Yes.
She was clearly emotional. And judges are moved by emotion. Juries are moved by emotion. My biggest takeaway from what I saw last night, the biggest surprise for me, was the soundbite from Jimmy Haslam saying that our Browns investigative team has done a thorough investigation on these alleged misdeeds. In fact, we investigated this particular issue with more veracity than we've investigated anything else during our time with the Cleveland Browns. And Tyvis, when teams are doing draft research on prospective draft picks, they go down to the junior high coach level.
Yes, they do.
They go to third, fourth people removed acquaintances.
Yep.
They do thorough investigations on the kids that they call their names on draft day because they want to know who they're investing in.
Yep.
The fact that he said they were more thorough with this than anything else they had done, and that was immediately followed by Soledad O'Brien asking one of the 2 alleged victims who she spoke with, did the Browns reach out to you? Have you talked to anyone with the Browns? No, they did not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The next line from Soledad was, in fact, the Browns have talked to 0 of the 22 women. In that moment, I felt Jimmy Haslam, the Cleveland Browns, and Deshaun Watson have a much bigger problem on their hands than we first thought. Yeah. That, guys, is a terrible look.
Well, I would say this, guys. Number one, first of all, Jimmy Haslam has looked like a fool in press conferences quite often in his 10 years in Cleveland. That comment, I remember we carried it live on the radio at the time when he had that press conference, and I was stunned by that comment at the time because I just didn't buy it. And obviously now, with all we know, and at the time when I didn't buy it, we didn't even know that the Browns hadn't interviewed any of the women. The excuse that the organization made that, we were told legally we
pending litigation.
That's ridiculous. Even if that's true, then don't say it's the most thorough investigation. Say we did the best we could without being able to talk to the women. If that's the case that you literally couldn't do it, I don't buy that. But in the end, Jay, even though, yes, I think Jimmy Haslam once again comes off like an awful fool, I ultimately don't think this puts any further pressure on the Browns to get things settled, because even though everybody's up in arms about it today, as we all know, it goes on to the next headline.
What do you think they're saying right now in the NFL offices on Park Avenue in New York City?
Well, I want to just touch down when you said they didn't talk to the women, the 22 accusers, and so that can't be thorough. Well, sometimes the best way to look at somebody is not by directly looking at them. You watch them from afar. There's been countless. They probably have all the information from the 2 grand juries. They probably have all the information.
I don't know that they do, by the way. I don't know that stuff is not
But if you're going to call it the most thorough investigation, you have to talk to the women, or don't call it that.
Well, that's not. Here's the thing. If you asking me, like if you do a documentary and you're doing a documentary about someone, I'm not sitting in the chair talking. The other people are talking. They'll bring you in and say, all right, how's Garrett Bush? They'll bring you, what is your relationship with Garrett Bush?
Yes.
They'll bring you. They bring other people, family members. They don't actually
No, that's fair, but Bull's point, I'm sure they did that. I'm sure they did. But to Bull's point and my point, I was stunned.
Yeah.
You've called it the most thorough investigation.
I think that's the part that you're missing.
Let me ask you this. Is this or is this not, the bringing in of Deshaun Watson, the single biggest move this franchise has made since I don't know when, guys?
Right.
I mean,
I think it is.
It's
an all or nothing move. With $230 million attached to it. It's the single biggest move this franchise has made maybe in 50 years.
Yeah.
But I don't see that necessarily as being a bad thing when you say this is the most thorough investigation.
But it wasn't.
But hold on. But here's
Yeah.
the thing. Why doesn't it have to be the most thorough investigation? If you're not going to talk to lawyers. You're not talking to all these people. If you're dealing with drafting a regular kid, you're like, okay, I'll talk to your high school students.
No,
but you don't have 3-4 lawyers looking at this
Yeah, but when
case.
Tyvis Powell got drafted, they talked to him.
And if he had a previous criminal background, they would have talked.
They did talk to me.
Yes, they did talk to you.
Yes, you want to talk to people around. I agree. But if you're going to call it the most thorough investigation,
that's the
you
point.
have
I think
to talk
that's
to
the
at
best-
least some of the women.
What are you going to get from talking to them that you won't get
You'll
from
hear
talking
their
to the
stories.
defense story?
You'll hear their stories.
You'll hear their stories, and if you're going into this and if you're going into the investigation saying, I want Deshaun Watson to be innocent, well, then you're not going to do the most thorough investigation.
I think what I think, G, is that when you talk to somebody as a person, when you sit down and you talk to somebody and you hear them talk, you can feel it. You can feel their emotions, or you can feel this BS. If you don't talk to them, like you don't know, like you don't truly know. Like we are a people of feelings.
Right.
Like when you tell me a story, when you tell it to me, I'm gonna feel some type of way just from hearing your story. And then you can't say that you fully did your investigation if you didn't sit down and get no type of feeling, no emotions, or anything from them.
That's so true, Tyvis. And Bull, your point of if you're going into an investigation and you've already made your conclusion, you just want to support it, you've got the cart before the horse.
That's right.
And the point that I want to drive home and why I was so shocked, they're claiming that this thorough investigation was done before the decision was made. And I believe they did look into this before they made the decision.
I'm pretty sure
But the last thing you ever want to have happen is you make a decision that is this big, I think it's one of the biggest in franchise history, that has such grave consequences for your fan base and your image, and you don't turn over every possible stone on your way to the truth.
Yeah.
That's how big this is. This isn't a 6th-round draft pick. This isn't a 3rd-round draft pick. This is the man who will be the face of your organization for the next 5 years. He is carrying the Cleveland Browns banner now. And before you go into that, in good faith, I don't know how you could go into that if you didn't have conversations with either the lawyers representing the women or the women themselves.
I think they went in our bar and their bar is two different things. I think their bar was when they came in and talked to Deshaun Watson, they said, is he criminal? Is he going to jail?
Yeah.
They only care if he's going to play.
And can he play?
That's
Well, I mean,
that was their bar.
It's a business.
Yeah.
Like,
And so they was like, the criminal stuff, they went to the lawyers and said, hey, the civil stuff, like, could that turn back into criminal? No, he just had to, okay. Well, our bar was here, right? And I think when they say they did the most thorough investigation, they're talking about specifically their comfort level with whether or not he is going to jail and how often he's going to play.
Yes,
agree.
however,
Yeah.
normal
I agree
circumstances,
with
you're
that.
absolutely right. But what we've learned from the National Football League is you can escape the criminal system
And still get
and
punished.
still get
and
Yeah.
still get punished.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I wanted to hear, I didn't know if they were going to talk to the Browns. And clearly the Browns don't want to participate in this.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would, because I was hoping that they could perhaps shed some light on exactly what that investigation entailed.
Right.
We don't know. We just know that according to Jimmy Haslam, this is the most thorough investigation that he's done on any subject during his time with the Cleveland Browns. I think it should have been.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
No chance.
And
By
if
the way,
it was,
guys,
that means they're under-investigating everything else.
I mean, think
if
about it.
This is their bar.
Think about it. Remember that the first summer of COVID, the only sports we had was the Michael Jordan documentary. Remember
Yeah,
that?
I remember well.
What if that documentary had no Michael Jordan in it?
Well, it doesn't
How good
exist.
was that?
It wouldn't have been as credible.
No.
No, it didn't exist. And the story behind how that documentary came to light is a fascinating one.
Yes.
Because Jordan agreed to do all of those interviews in his last season, but he only agreed to do it if he had control of the film.
Let me.
So he would one day
Yes.
decide, yes, I want this to be aired,
Yes.
or no, I don't. And it took him this
Yes.
long, but he finally came to the conclusion, let's tell my story.
If it's going to be the most thorough investigation possible, you have to exhaust all options of who to talk to. They didn't do that.
Let me ask you guys this question, because I remember when this happened,
Yeah.
when the Ray Rice thing happened and the tape came out,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the Ravens said, "Hey, the league looked into it. You know, we had already made our judgments," and then the tape came out, and then it was like a nuclear disaster.
It was
right?
a meltdown.
It was a Mach 5 meltdown
Mm-hmm.
for the Cleveland Browns. Do you believe they went into it like, okay, we're going to brace for this thing, and we're going to see how it hits? And if it's not a nuclear meltdown, do you think they feel better about it now? Or
I don't. I think they feel worse
Or
about
do they
it today.
they feel worse about it today?
If I'm Jimmy Haslam and I'm in the Browns organization, I feel worse about it today. Because now these accusers have a name and a face. We've seen their stories.
Yeah.
To your point, I thought the first woman in particular
Yes.
Yeah.
was highly credible. I believe
Yeah.
that she thinks that a line was crossed.
Yes.
Now, that's up to a jury, a civil case jury, to decide ultimately. And I said this yesterday on the show, and I'll reiterate it now. 21-1 is a lose, okay? If he wins 21 cases and loses one, he takes the hard L.
Yeah.
You have to go 22-0. And when Harden leaked out his document that really disparaged, I thought, a lot of these women,
Yeah.
the fact that it wasn't all of the women caused me to say, well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. What about the other names that you didn't mention that they've got holes in their cases?
Right.
He doesn't have to lose. He has to lose
They did good.
one case, and he takes the L.
And they did a good job. They made her the point guard. She's the point person.
Well, and you can see why.
And
Wasn't
they made
she
it.
the first- was
They
she
made a
the
great-
first one? Like
Yeah,
the first
she's
She
the
was.
face of the thing.
And one other thing I just wanted to throw out there, because none of us are women. We don't have to go through any of this stuff,
No,
right?
correct.
But let me make this point, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but this is possible. For people that are saying, well, why did they stay in contact with him, and why were they taking his text messages? Let me just say this. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying this is a possibility, okay? When I was 23 years old, I had met a girl at work, and I was smitten as soon as I met her.
Sure.
Now, at the time, she had a boyfriend.
Right.
Now, I didn't know this, but her boyfriend was abusive, okay? And eventually, well, I'm not going to get into all details, but eventually, she left him for me, and but it was tough. Our relationship didn't work because she was mentally scarred from this relationship she had been in with this horrible person. Okay, and I never asked her why she stayed with him, but being with her for the time I know why she stayed with him. And this is not exactly the same. Again, I'm not saying this is not apples to apples, but she stayed with him because she felt like she had nowhere else to go, or she felt like nobody else believed in her, and it's a very complicated issue. Now, this is different. I get it. There was no
relationship.
Right, there was no relationship. However, Deshaun Watson is a very powerful person, right?
He is.
He's a rich, famous athlete. And it is possible that some of these women who were nobodies might have thought to themselves, well, he's texting me. I better at least, text him back. I don't want him to say anything bad about me. He could destroy my life. You never know what's going through.
That's fair.
So just the fact that they responded, I'm not saying they're not lying, but it's possible. You can't just dismiss them because they responded to it.
I agree.
That's
That's
fair.
a great point.
That's fair.
I will say this. She was the point guard for a reason.
Yeah.
One, she was the first woman to come forward. Two, when you watch her tell her story, she's very emotional about the story.
Yes.
It sounds
She is.
legit.
Here's what a jury will decide. Is she a credible witness? And I think the four of us here are all willing to say she is a credible witness. Some of us will say she is a very credible witness. And it just takes one, guys. I know there's 22, and the other 21 might all lose their case. I don't know the specifics of that one. But I know in a case where there's no physical evidence, like this one, and it comes down to he said and she said, the jury is left with no choice but to decide which one is more likely telling the truth. Which one do I believe the most? And I'm not sure if it's just the two of them telling their stories that she's not going to win.
The great thing about this is you can find out. It's called a civil trial.
Yeah.
I think they'll have one next year, 2023.
We will. Unless,
Yeah.
and this is my last point on this, if I'm Harden and the Browns and Deshaun Watson, I don't do it today because it does imply guilt.
Yes.
Right.
But in a short order, before training camp begins, I meet with their lawyers and I say, we're ready to talk. Whatever the number is, it's a number financially that he can handle. Obviously, I think he has a lot of leverage in the total number because I'm sure there are some cases that even the lawyer, when asked, is it possible some of these women aren't telling the truth? He wasn't very emphatic. No, I believe all 22. He's like, it's possible.
Yeah.
But he knows only one of them has to be telling the truth.
That's why I thought he came off better.
If I'm the Browns,
Yeah.
and if I'm Watson, and if I'm Rusty Harden, I'm on the phone today on a conference call, and I might even bring the NFL into it. And they might say he is maintaining steadfastly his innocence. But this was a horrible look for him. And he wants this behind him. If I'm advising them, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm just saying
I think
public
he's too far.
optics.
I think he's
CJ,
too far down the street.
He might be.
The
He's too
thing,
far down the
the
street. He's
thing
going to play
is,
under this for a long time.
The thing about it is, if he does settle for the rest of his life, you ever bring up Deshaun Watson, he has to deal with that. And if he truly is innocent like he says he is, I would fight it to the grave because I would not want to hear Tyvis Powell and then sexual assault right after that.
I said the same thing yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to say, and I believe that his principles will probably override a settlement from happening. Because I know this. When I'm accused of something that I did not do, there is no way I'm going to wear that suit.
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
Exactly.
And I will fight to the death for my name,
Right.
even if it means I'm suspended for a year and I miss whatever.
And by the way, this is a unique point, but here's the thing. In this country, we know some of the most powerful people. We're not going to say any names. Not only will they not capitulate, even if they know they're wrong, it could be on tape, capitulate, they will double down and say, oh no, I'm going to fight harder. I'm going to dig my heels in. And I'm never going to admit, no.
That's a fact.
And that changes so many people because when you're that steadfast with something, it's galvanizing. Like,
do you guys think that Busby and the accusers spoke? This is I'm cynical.
Yeah.
I believe they spoke trying to apply pressure on Watson to get him to settle.
Yeah.
I believe that's why they spoke.
Yeah.
Because it's unusual that they would do this. With pending litigation, you don't want to have to tell a story multiple times. Even if that story is true, you could slip up and change a thing here or there, and the defense attorney now is going to pounce on that inconsistency.
Good point.
Let me ask you guys this. I think if Deshaun Watson knew for sure, like if he was like, if he knew in his brain that he did all this is all true, I think he probably would have settled already. If he, in his mind, all right, if he's completely innocent, if he's completely 100% innocent, then I would never settle, no matter what. No matter what.
That's what makes me think that
But let me ask you this:
could be.
If you're Deshaun Watson, and let's say the reality is somewhere in between, which I alluded to before, I'm going to bring it up again.
Yeah.
That I know this is tricky, but stay with me. If the reality is now you're Deshaun Watson and you're thinking back all these years later, and you're saying, I could see, like, I didn't mean to force anybody, but I could see where a lot of these women, maybe because of who I am, felt pressure in the moment to do things that they probably didn't want to do. If he's
It's a softer landing.
If he's thinking that, if that's the reality, I have no idea. Maybe it is in some cases, maybe it's not at all. But if you came to that reality as Deshaun Watson, would you then settle? Or no?
I think that's a reason to settle. Because Deshaun seems like a person that does care about other people.
Yeah.
Everybody I've spoken to that has had a relationship with him in the past, either media or former teammates, they all say the same thing. Blown away when I heard this.
Yeah.
Out of his character. He's not the kind of guy that would ever intentionally hurt someone. So to your point, he may look at, I don't know how he wouldn't watch the first woman tell her story. Even, that's her truth, okay? That's her truth. And it's obvious when you watch her that that's her existence, that's her reality.
Right.
I would be compelled to say, to your point,
Yeah.
oh my God, if I did that to you in any way, I want to apologize for that, and I want you to understand that it was unintentional.
Yeah.
I didn't know. For me, I get massages. I'm not bashful about my body. 100 women that have done this have seen it. I'm sorry. I never meant to offend you.
Right.
Or
is it too late for that?
I don't know because he is dug in. I mean, you heard his press conference.
Right.
It's never too late.
Right.
Because it takes you to grow. Like he could have, like you said, he could have went through this whole process and thought, yeah, I'm completely innocent. I didn't do anything. I didn't force anything. But then when you hear from a different side, from a woman's perspective, about how he's Deshaun Watson, and I felt like I had to do it. Like as men, we don't feel like that.
We offended someone, and we didn't know it. But once the person who was offended explains it to us, we say, wow, you know what? I now can see how that would be offensive. I need you to understand that was in no way, shape, or form my intention. I have a heartfelt apology I want to offer you. My ignorance is less now because I'm more aware of other people's feelings. Yeah. We've all done that. And maybe that's what happened here.
I think he's thinking of the collateral damage, though. So, say, for instance, like we talked about it, there's different levels to this thing. Maybe he says the key witness, I can see where she coming from, right? But the rest of y'all, no. We're not going. So, I done been places where I done got married to somebody I shouldn't have been married to. And I done been at the altar looking like, man, I don't know if this is the right decision.
Really?
But I went through with it because I ain't about to have you up here looking crazy. That's when my mama looking.
Yeah, but that's heavy.
We just spent $24,000, and I'm sitting here knowing the collateral damage to that is, you know how much a divorce costs? You know how much splitting your money up is? You know how much, because it's going to happen.
Or just sharing your life with someone you're not ready to share it with.
And so my thing is, if he's sitting there and he does have remorse, like, I can see where she's coming from. He's in his mind, but if I'm admitting to that, if I admit to one, don't that mean I'm admitting to the other 21?
Who knows?
Because in the public eye, that's public eye.
Look at that. Nobody's going to we can't figure it out. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. And that's how we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
What we've done for the last 40 minutes, 30 minutes.
I think we did a good job, too.
Here's what we did.
I think we did.
It was a good job.
On one hand, it's what people are talking about.
Yeah.
It's our job to talk about the sports teams in Cleveland and the issues that impact them. But I want to put a bow on it by saying this. It's what I said yesterday in my final take. We really don't know. We really don't know. And there are 23 reputations at stake here. The 22 accusers' reputation hangs in the balance, and so does Deshaun Watson. It's really not fair for us to pontificate and speculate, but that's what we do. So if that's offensive to you, I offer you a group apology. We don't mean to do that, but we're having the conversations that are taking place all over Northeast Ohio, in fact, all over the country. But the sports fans are talking about it. But the bottom line is we don't know. We may likely never know. And I just think as we sit here today, I think this is a worse problem for the Browns today, now that it has a name, a face, and emotion to it, than it was yesterday. And I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. All right. We're going to go. Should we talk about defensive back duos now? Or
Yeah, but before we do that, hey, Steve, roll this video. This is the first look ever of Deshaun Watson practicing in a Browns uniform in front of local Cleveland media. We got this straight from the WKYC cameras. Shout out Yak and the squad. We got a minute worth, so what do you guys think? Look good in orange?
Yeah, well, he passes the look test. I mean, we knew that. He
Definitely looks better than Baker did.
I'm like, man, this dude, he out here looking like he been lifting, working out.
I tell you what, Listen, football swag,
Yeah.
he definitely got it.
Yeah.
Got the towel going on.
he
some
got
wristbands, got the hat
wristbands.
on.
So you're lining up to cover a receiver on the other side.
Yeah.
And you glance over at the quarterback. What's the first thing you think when you see this?
I'm
dude
in trouble.
standing
he
there?
looked good. Boy, he looked the part for sure. Like, okay.
Time this dude over here talking about some. I got one.
Look down like, oh,
yeah, I got me one over here.
You know, I imagine today is tough for him. Because we know a lot more about what happened today, and so do his teammates. I guarantee you many of his teammates watched it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he watched it. I'm guessing his phone is blown up with either good or bad or both since. So he's carrying this with him today, and I wonder what impact that has.
I think he insulated. When you get to, like,
Listen.
when you got with your peoples in the locker room, they close all that off, right?
The thing about being in a locker room setting is you see something like this, we all got a common goal. This is a safe place. We're not going to bring out the outside world and media attention on something that we're trying to get done. Obviously, we know that he's going through a lot as a teammate. So we need to be there to support him in a tough time like this.
What would you have said to him today if you were a teammate of Deshaun Watson's?
Hey, man, championship. Let's go, man. Focus.
You wouldn't even mention
Nope,
last night?
Don't even bring it up.
Yep.
Let's focus. Let's focus. Today is the day to get better. We got to get 1% better. We're trying to do something. We're trying to build something in Cleveland and get to the Super Bowl and do something that's never been done. That's where your focus need to be. That's where all of our focus is, and we behind you 100%.
I think that's a good.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
he got
why
me
you're
ready to
from
go.
right there.
He got me ready to go. Like, let's focus in, G. Bush, man. Leave all that alone.
Yeah, when you come in this Brown facility, bro, we family in here. We got you. As y'all know, family, however you feel, right or wrong, you got his back no matter what. That's the guy that you got to go to war with.
Yeah.
And you got to be ready to do it. You got to be able to stand up with him, good, bad, or indifferent.
That's true.
And one of the non-Watson storylines here, and I think I saw it in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the guy snapping the ball was Nick Harris.
Yes.
Was the young center.
Yes.
And this is an important piece for the team. They have let the veteran center J.C. Treader go.
Yeah.
I thought that was the worst mistake the Browns made this offseason, in my opinion.
Not getting rid of Hooper?
No, they got rid of Hooper.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Signing Hooper.
I thought you said. I see what you. I thought you're saying the decision to go with Watson is the worst decision.
No. Letting Treader go.
Yeah.
Letting Treader go. I didn't like that.
Because the Hooper decision was universally.
Oh, no.
He had to go.
He had those sticks.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a mistake, and I'm curious to see how Nick Harris does.
Harris is young, and we don't know. But a lot of times when coaches tell you this, as the media, if we only get to see the first 15 minutes of practice, oftentimes we don't know what the backup looks like. But oftentimes when there's an injury and then you've got to go to your second guy, you'll often hear the coaches say, listen, you guys don't see him in practice every day. We do.
Yes.
We see every snap this kid's taken. And I'm telling you, we're not going to miss a beat. This kid's ready. I think they
I don't care how
firmly
ready
believe.
he is, though.
No, he's not going to be J.C.
A veteran
Treader.
center matters.
It does.
Especially
No,
with a new
absolutely.
quarterback for the team.
And he's not going to be Treader.
Well, the good thing is they can learn together.
Yeah, that's
they'll,
true.
they'll build their chemistry up during OTAs, preseason. I'm sure they'll take some snaps, and it's good that they're both in there together so they can leurn it and see it together.
Good point. It is such a vital position, though, man.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're the quarterback of that line.
Yeah.
And
Good thing he
it's
sat
important.
behind JC, so he knows some
Yeah.
stuff.
That's true.
So
And I
that's-
would think that before the coaches made the decision to save money and release Treader, that they had a lot
had
of
to be confident
conversations
in him.
about
Sure,
this.
sure.
Is he ready to go now? And I think in that case, you got to have all yeses in the room.
Yeah.
If you've got one guy raising his hand saying, no, he's not, then I don't know that you do this.
Yeah.
But they had to save money.
Right.
The Hooper thing was a no-brainer. They had to move on from him.
Yeah.
But they saved money, and hopefully there is going to be a drop-off at that position. Hopefully it's not great.
One thing I love
Go ahead.
this offseason was the extension they signed Denzel Ward to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know you were worried about it because of his injury.
Yes.
But Denzel Ward, to me, again, he's been injury prone. He's missed some time. That's the one concern.
Listen, I love that they re-signed him.
Yeah.
I didn't love that
Paid
they
him
made
a
him the
lot.
highest paid.
That already got
Whoa,
beat.
why
That already
not?
got beat.
I know it did, and it's going to continue to get beat as we go on.
Denzel-
I love Denzel.
Wait a minute.
I love
You don't
Denzel
think he
Ward.
was worth it?
Here's my fear, and this the number one thing I talked about that day. His availability has been an issue.
Yes.
And that's my only fear.
Well,
it's not his play. What I see on the field is worthy of a Pro Bowl contract.
Yeah. I get that.
Highest paid, I don't know, but he certainly should be in the upper echelon.
I get that.
In the top 5. But when they set the bar with him, my first question was, did they have to go that high?
Well, I mean,
Like, they didn't have to do this.
The way them contracts was coming out, yeah, they kind of did.
Well, you might be right because the cap's going to go up, and that means the average salary is going to go up.
Everybody's concern for his injury because it
Put my
is,
mind at ease,
it is,
Ty.
But if you go back and look at it, he played 15 games this year. This is the most he's played. So now that he's got this money, now he's taking care of his body better, and you get some of them vet days.
When
and
I look at
it
you,
ain't so hard on the body.
When I look at you and I look at him, when I saw him for the first time in street clothes,
Oh yeah,
I was like, this dude looks like some cat walking around the mall.
Yeah.
Like a high school.
Greg Newsome too.
Greg Newsome too. They're so small.
this is
And
not
Tyver's kind of big, though.
I'm about to say,
Like,
I'm considered a big dude.
Like, yeah.
More like a
6'4",
more like a
230.
safety,
He look like a
really.
safety.
But see, that's my point. Like, so my philosophy is, I want a bigger cornerback. If
Well-
I'm going to go to the lab and create a cornerback, I'm
Yeah.
going to create you, not Denzel.
Well, see, the thing is, Denzel is so unique. I mean, the man is fast. Jet. I mean,
you gotta be fast before
his change
everything
of
else.
directions, like if you watch him, like he went viral like a few years ago he did like a one-on-one, I think, with Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry did a stop and go comeback. And if you watch Denzel's hips, they just boom, 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 boom. Like they drop so fast and his recovery is so good. It's hard to do that when you're bigger. As a bigger corner, it's hard to drop your
But
hips.
so it's the question that GMs and coaches have to answer when they're having their philosophy talks. Do I want a guy with that kind of athleticism who can? It's about makeup speed.
Yeah.
Like if a guy does put a move on you and gets 2 steps behind you, can you close that speed? So that's very important.
Yep.
But I start thinking about there's certain matchups in the league with the bigger receivers that just scare the daylights out of me. The 6'4" receivers, that's tough,
Well,
man.
see, Denzel's been crafty. When you go in against those taller wide receivers, obviously it's hard to do the jump ball thing. The way you do it is you have to play through the hands. You have to, when they go up, you got to hit a hand
he's
down or
great
something.
at
And he
that.
does an amazing
And I
job
think-
of doing that.
Did he learn that at Ohio State? Because I think a lot of the Ohio State DBs do that very well.
For somebody, we do play the hands more. I guess when you're the type of corner that Denzel is, like pure man to man, like you don't have really a lot of time to be in phase and this is an in phase and out of phase. When you're playing man to man and you're on the guy, a lot of the times these receivers is crafty, so you got to get there. When you're playing catch up, you can't look back for the ball. The best
just
thing to
talked
do
about
is to
that.
play the hands, because if you look back, the ball's going right past.
Sure.
Tyvus, I have 2 theories on Denzel Ward, and I think you could back them up. And if I'm wrong, you'll tell me, but I doubt you're going to think I'm wrong here. And this is part of the reason.
I like your confidence.
When you pay
Preface.
when you pay a
I
guy,
am right, though.
when you pay a guy, I think there's an underrated part when you're willing to spend a lot of money on a player. And there's 2 things that have impressed me in the couple of times I've interviewed Denzel Ward and other players in the secondary for the Browns. Number 1, I think his football IQ is through the roof.
I do too.
Is that true?
Yeah, he's smart.
Okay. Number 2, and they think this is the most important, is especially he's still a pretty young player.
Yeah.
I think he's a great leader and example for the rest of the defensive backs.
Is
on the
that
team.
true?
Now, Denzel is a very quiet guy.
Yeah, I think he is too.
But the way he handles his business, like he does everything the right way.
He's a lead by example
Yes,
guy.
he's not very
he's not a rah-rah
very
guy.
vocal, not at all.
No, but I'm not saying he's not Jarvis Landry
No.
type of leader.
So he leads kind of in a Myles Garrett kind of way. Just
Yeah.
watch what I do and follow.
But Greg Newsome, I thought it really stood out to me when Greg Newsome has said this twice when we had him on the show, and he said it again when I interviewed him on the radio. He made the point explaining how Denzel Ward explained to him about how to get better as a corner in terms of focusing on one thing today.
Yes.
And I thought that was such great advice that to get from such a young player in Denzel Ward, that really stood out to me. That you don't have to be a rah-rah guy to be a good leader.
Is that a building block at OSU? Is that something that they teach one thing each day?
Yeah, well, that's Kerry Combs, the DB coach, when at that time. That's one of the things that he focused on the most was definitely you pick one thing every day. Today I'm going to just watch his hips, and whatever he do, I'm going to do. Or today I'm going to work on coming out of my break, 1-2, making sure everything 1-2. If you focus on that one thing, like it'll get better because your mind is on that. And now when you get to the game, you focused on it so much it becomes second nature. If you're trying to figure out a whole bunch of things, it's too much in practice and something's going to get away from you. Because it's like
the mind gets cluttered.
Right.
What I like about this dude on the screen right there, Greg Newsome, he might be my new favorite dude. First of all, his kick game. It's exclusive. It's
Better-
real
better than
exclusive.
mine?
The shoe flex was
Hey,
Better than mine.
Hey,
Were
bro.
you with us today?
He had
when
a
we interviewed
whole-
Greg?
No, I wasn't
The
here.
man had a whole room
G.
dedicated
Bush was going
just
to
to
cap on him
sneaks.
because the
I
background was bad. So he's
yeah,
like, bro, where are you?
and he just slowly panned to his collection of
To the
joints,
sneaker room.
exclusives. And you know somebody got a lot of shoes when they got a lot of colors that don't go with nothing.
Yeah,
he had
that's a
lime
fact.
cheetah print shoes that go with one shirt and one pants.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't wear them with nothing else. But besides that, I like you because as a corner, he was beat a couple times early last year. I'm saying, oh, they got him. But the fact that he's always there, he always got a hand, he always is in the mix. So even if he get beat, I'm like, they'll work on you with that.
Yeah.
You'll get your eyes in the right place. They'll have him read his keys. But just being around the football with DBs, you can't coach that. Yeah. Some dudes get picks. I was around a guy, Mike Doss. I played with him in high school.
Go Bucks.
Mike Doss I said, he's the luckiest dude in the world. He just gets picks. He gets picks against everybody. If it's Miami in the national championship or the JV lacrosse team, he's picking something off because he's just around the ball. That's a skill for DBs.
Yeah.
In terms of the best DB tandems, I think maybe the reason Newsome and Denzel are not number one is because they've both been injury prone.
Where are they to you, Tyvis? Can we put that list back on the screen, Mikey? So
They came in number 5, by the way, on
they were
Pro
number
Football Focus.
on Pro Football Focus. They ranked the cornerback duos.
I mean, when you look at this, when you look at that duos right there, I mean, obviously my first attention goes to Peters and Humphrey because of Peters' production and Humphrey's production. I mean, they both have the ability to just get turnovers and takeaways with picks, whether it's punching the ball out. But when you talk about just pure coverage, Ward and Newsome has to be one of the, if not the best on this list. I
Really?
mean, to me, yeah.
I was surprised there was no Jalen Ramsey.
Because
on here.
Jalen
Ramsey
Ramsey's
and
it's his partner.
Yeah,
Talk
but
to him.
It's the partner.
We talked about this before. Listen, don't get mad, Jalen. You put this on me. I know y'all in the fraternity. The DBs ain't supposed to talk about each other. Put this on me. I said I didn't know. I didn't understand why you was getting that money like this, and I had to go to the expert.
Really?
I had to go to the expert and say, listen,
I mean,
Jalen Ramsey's behind in a lot of these.
If I can take my pick of anybody, I'm starting with Ramsey.
And that's where a lot of the public is.
You're not there?
I'm not there right now.
flashy,
Not right
Listen,
now.
he takes chances.
No, I get that.
And I'm okay with that. It's like the home run hitter he's gonna strike out. You know that.
But the thing is, it's okay. Like I was
We was
explaining
breaking
to
it down.
G. Bush, it's
Okay.
like Super Bowl, one of the most important games. Jamar Chase was really all over the field, wide open. So you would say, okay, that's Jamar Chase.
Yes.
He's a special talent. I get that.
And that's with
Correct.
Burrow having no time to
All
throw.
right. So all right, give me another example.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, when they played the Rams in Tampa Bay in the playoffs.
Yeah.
To tie the game, who did Tom Brady choose to attack for a touchdown?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Jalen Ramsey.
You're right. And I think everybody was shocked.
So let me give you a third example.
All right.
Week 17, meaningful game because it dictates where you're going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
San Francisco goes against the Rams. The last drive, guess who they attacked almost every play on that drive to score the game-winning touchdown?
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey. So it's like, okay, you the best, but in critical moments, why is
Is
everybody
he the
going
best?
towards
so,
you?
So you're saying he's not the best?
Now, in my personal opinion,
Because look, you can
no.
give examples for everybody. Denzel Ward had a couple of games last year where I was like, is he still sleeping?
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few games
but
where
Denzel doesn't get the hype that.
No, I
Yeah.
know he doesn't, but I'm
Right.
saying my point there is all the great ones.
Yes.
Maybe
Like,
save Deion Sanders. I can never remember Deion getting torched for an entire game. My point is, Jalen, you could point to plays where Jalen was out of position. I think usually when you beat him is you get him to commit on a stop. And he'll take a chance thinking he's going to get a pick.
Yeah.
And he'll commit, and then it's too late. It's too late. He
I think the Ravens guys might be the best. By the way, real quick,
I love the Ravens. I love the Dolphins, too. For me, the Dolphins were
if
the most
Bradbury
underrated.
is so good, why did the Giants cut him? And they stink. Why'd they cut Bradbury?
Don't get me started on that, Bull.
Well, J.C. Tretter doesn't stink. And
No, I know,
mean,
but the Giants don't have a salary cap problem.
People don't cut
They don't have that
corners.
much talent.
Corners
The Browns
are
have
big.
talent.
You good.
I'm gonna tell you, the most underrated person on that whole list is Darius Slay. He don't get the credit that he deserves for it. I mean, he's been in the league for about 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
He's been a top dog, make pick sixes, and nobody ever puts him in the top
I
five.
knew you
And
would
it
set it
really,
straight. I
it
knew
really
you would set
makes
it
me
straight.
upset that nobody give Darius Slay his credit. That man is definitely one of the top
So you can
corners
have
in
any
this league.
duo in the NFL, and I know you said they belong in the top 5.
Yeah.
Where are you taking the Browns duo? Ward Newsome. Where do you like
one
him?
or two?
One or two?
One or two.
High praise from a guy who
Especially
knows.
they're young, too.
Yeah.
The youth of it and the
Yeah.
fact that they just gritty, man.
They are.
They are very scrappy.
We're doing good bet, bad bet, Mikey?
Good bet, bad bet, real quick. We'll
Okay.
run through that real quick.
All right, let's go. How did you do yesterday? I think I
Let's
got
get the standings up.
I
Jay,
got the
you had
Guardians.
your best day yet.
I
Let's
lost
pull up the
yesterday.
standings here.
That's right, baby.
Jay went 3-0. Mike Polk went
Yep,
3-0.
Knew I-
G. Bush finally.
I'm mad because I should be
back.
I should be 4-1, but I switched that math, man. I shouldn't have let people talk me out of
I gave
it.
y'all a couple buckets. It's
What
cool.
did I do yesterday? 2-1?
2-1. Polk and Jay went 3-0.
to-
G.
Yeah.
Bush 1-2. So let's get to
felt it.
tonight's first game. Steve, let's go to the next one. Yep. Guardians.
Yeah,
Underdogs
I
again.
would,
plus
G, you're
1.5.
the only one with a good bet. You can take the
Taking them.
Guardians.
I'm taking them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm taking them.
They're playing the
Respect.
Astros again.
Respect.
I'm taking them.
All right.
We're going right
Zach
back to
Plesac
it.
stinks.
Hey, a broken
yeah, I'm
clock's
not-
wrong twice a day.
I'm
He's
not
going to
willing
be
to-
right eventually.
Double
right,
down.
He was right on the first game of this series. So
Yeah,
he's,
he was.
everyone's 1-1 on this series so
Yeah.
far. So this is the real decider.
Yeah.
Game 2. Will the Guardians score a run in the first inning today?
Now they ain't getting no runs
No,
though.
no,
I didn't say that. No, I'm not picking yet.
So you got confidence, you just ain't got that much
I
confidence.
ain't got that. Don't get
By the way,
twisted.
for those that saw it last night, the Jose Ramirez at-bat in the first inning was one of the best at-bats I can remember seeing in recent memory.
Yeah.
He fouled off pitch after pitch after pitch, and they were all out of the strike zone. And finally, the pitcher was actually laughing. He was actually like, you got to
Yeah.
be kidding me.
That's
with
a
this
good
dude.
pitcher for
That's
everyone.
a great
really
pitcher.
good pitcher.
And
yeah.
he grooves a fastball, and Ramirez puts it in the seats.
Gone.
Fortunately, they did nothing else, but
No, I know. After that, it was rough.
Yeah.
Okay, Mikey McNuggets.
And the
what's
last one, we have some disagreement on the final one. Over 203 and a
I
half
can't
total
believe
points in
y'all.
tonight's Miami versus Boston game.
You're saying
I
defense.
cannot
You're the bad
believe.
bet there.
Listen, y'all. See, y'all ain't paying attention. It's the Heat got so many injuries right now. Tyler Hero's out. Jimmy Butler. We don't know what he's gonna be. Kyle Lowry's
So
down.
you know the guys
There's-
that are injured also play defense.
Listen, there's no way. That's what I'm saying. It
only
ain't
a-
like the Celtics is the healthiest team.
It's only 103 points.
I know
No,
it's too
yeah.
low for me to take the. I just think it's too low.
No.
Well, the last game was under.
Yeah.
The last game
No,
was under.
listen,
Yeah, well, that's
they-
why this one's so low.
Y'all is nope. There's
All
no
right.
way.
I
It's gonna
got a
be
bonus one.
old
So
school
you know what? That's
defensive
the one I'm
game.
watching most closely
Good.
tonight.
Y'all go send me a text and be like, you called it.
All right,
I'm like, I
might end up
know.
doing that.
79-82,
We're
something
going to
like
step
that.
aside for just a second.
Isn't there a bonus one, or are we blowing that off?
Oh, no, we actually do have a bonus one. Steve, I lied. Let's pull up
Oh, they got a bonus?
For him?
44, please. I got this tweet yesterday.
Okay.
Bull, and give us a sec. That's on me. I forgot. Yes, pull it up. I want to read this. For the next good bet, bad bet segment, I'd like to make a prompt on whether or not Adam the Bull makes it through his entire season as a manager without an internal revolt from either the players or parents. And Adam, you want to tell this guy what happened last night?
We got our first victory.
Yeah!
Big win.
a come from behind win.
Well, we blew a lead, and then we came back in the bottom of the fourth inning, which was the last inning, because we got game ended due to darkness. My son drew a walk with the bases loaded to give us the lead and the win. So the kids were so excited.
Did they dogpile?
They did not, but they were just kind of jumping up and down
That's
together.
awesome.
And I didn't want to dogpile. I didn't want anybody getting hurt. But
You're
but
that coach?
the kids were so excited. I don't think any of the kids are revolting. As far as I know, they all love me. I'm a good coach, and I'm nice to them.
Have you
and
had a
I'm not
parent
too
issue
tough.
yet?
No parent issues at all.
Because I thought when you pulled that two-a-day practice thing that one of the parents
I
was
love
like,
Taking all the kids.
what are we here,
I
Major
love
Taking the
Leagues?
kids to the batting cage this weekend. We're going batting cage.
That's
And I did
a
have
good coach.
That's a great coach.
I did have to yell at one of the kids. His brother, who was in high school, brought like all his friends, and they were a little out of control. So I had to yell at them because they're yelling at the kids, "Choke up, do this," and he was getting all freaked out. I'm like, "You guys all shut up."
Nice.
But
Runs a
no, there will
tight
be
ship.
no
Control
revolt,
the
and we're on a
audience.
roll. We're gonna win again tomorrow.
1-3 now?
1-4.
That's okay.
Started
Hey,
0-4, but
you got to
Making a
win
big
it streak.
comeback.
Listen, they making the right push right
right.
before the
Yeah.
playoffs. So they
got
go
a
into
lefty.
playoffs with some momentum.
got my lefty on the mound tomorrow. We're good to go.
Good, very nice. Congratulations on the
Thank
win.
you, thank
I
you.
told him yesterday, text me when the game's over, and
Yeah.
I hit you up last night. I'm like, did we get that
You
done?
did, you did.
He was like,
Hey,
yes, we
yeah.
did.
Do we want to take a break? We actually have Coach Day right now.
No,
No,
you know
break.
what? No commercial. We
don't need a break.
We're running right through the stop sign.
Let's do it.
We have Coach Day
is
on right now.
he's
important things
adjusting
there.
his screen.
All right,
No,
let's-
you know what? We're going to go to break. We're going to set his shot. We'll come
Okay.
back.
All right,
Sounds
we're
good.
cut with
Coach Day
quick
will see
break.
you in 2 minutes.
It maybe
Be
only
right
going to be a
back.
minute, right?
A minute. As
Okay.
soon as he's ready, we're good.
Quick break. Ryan Day at the other end. See ya.
Yeah, man. Coach Day, we need some gear down here.
We need some Buckeyes.
Hey, it's Adam the Bull for the ultimate Cleveland sports show, and I'll tell you what I think of when I think of Cleveland sports. It's that everybody loves it. I've been to other parts of the country, and there's people that love sports and people that don't care. But in Cleveland, everybody cares even a little bit from every walk of life, and that's what makes this city special. Whether it's football, baseball, or basketball, it doesn't matter. The people of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio love their teams like nowhere else in the country.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of ODOT's
here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost. You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. We'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
All right, welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guys, when I found out that we had booked Ohio State coach Ryan Day, I'm like, wow, our show? Like, our show? We've only been on the air 3 weeks. We got the head man at Ohio State, and our producer said, yeah, we had to pay him quite a bit of money to get him. No, that's not true. Let's bring in Ryan Day. He is just a tremendous. And our show, Coach, the class level of our show just went through the roof. Before we start our first question, we did hard-hitting investigative reporting last night. I wanted to dig into the details of your contract extension, and I was able to determine that it is a multi-year, multi-dollar deal. So congratulations on getting a new contract extension. Let's start by having you tell us why these extensions are so important, not for the coach, but for the program and the continuity.
Yeah, great to be on here, guys. Thanks. First off, for recruiting and just sustainability, and when you're recruiting families, it means a lot. First off, for the university to make an investment in our coaching staff, and then they also want to know that you're going to be there. And there's so many things that get thrown out there, certainly with different job opportunities and those types of things. And I can, say that I want to be at Ohio State till I'm blue in the face, but actions speak louder than words. And so, everyone here has had a big part in all of this. And I think we have a really great staff and really appreciate everybody who's, got us to this point, and certainly very blessed to be in this situation.
I can't believe you said blue in the face. I didn't think you'd use the word blue.
Oh, that's true.
Or say the word of the state of the up north. But I understand what you're saying with the analogy. And I can tell you from a fan standpoint, thrilled to have you and to know that you're going to be here for that long.
No doubt.
Hopefully well beyond this extension, because I think the program is in a really, really good place.
I think the Buckeyes got to ask the next question.
Yeah,
I think he's
you're
got
on the
to
clock,
go
bro.
Well, Coach Day, I see it's this. It's rumored that the Big Ten is getting rid of divisions. They want to get rid of the Big Ten with West and the East. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things we've got to do is adapt with the times, and there's a lot of change going on. As you know, there's so much going on in college football, and every year there's just new challenges that are coming our way, and making sure that we're on top of that. I think when you look at the divisions, there's been different things over time that have happened in the conference. We had the legends and the leaders, you had the East and the West, and now they're considering no divisions. I think it's interesting to look back on the last couple of years and how the Big Ten championship would have played out if it wasn't East versus West. I think it does give us a little bit more of a margin for error. So I think there's arguments on both sides, and gonna kind of lead that up to the ADs and the commissioner in that area.
Coach, I have a major concern I got to get to here. I'm concerned your beard's too good looking. This is the problem here, Coach. I think that's what's going to get you over the top. You've had great success, but I think what's going to get you over the top for a championship is the beard's got a little bit. You got to look a little more scraggly. Maybe like Belichick. He looks like a total slob out there. The beard's too good looking. Is that a major concern for you?
Well, I got to tell you, I think it's first off, the beard is a step in the direction of making sure that they understand that we mean business, but it also can't be sloppy. I mean, we're still talking about Ohio State, and I got to make sure I clean it up. And every once in a while, my wife and my daughter will say, "Make sure you clean up that beard. You're starting to look like a bum."
Keep you in line.
Goatee?
Keep you in line.
What about a goatee? I mean, that brings like a little edge to the beard.
Nastiness.
Have you thought about just the goat?
That's not on the table. My wife said no, that's not on the table.
What do you think of this look here?
Oh,
We
yeah.
found some interesting beards in sports.
Yeah.
You're a beard connoisseur.
No.
What do you think of these?
Yeah, that's nice.
I think I'm going to have to win a national championship before I can start getting into these guys' world.
Oh, please don't go James Harden.
Oh, that would be terrible.
Now that's a bull kind of beard. He loves that beard.
You can't even see his mouth. Yeah.
I'll have a little bit more margin for error if we win the whole thing. I can promise you that. But right now, I'm going to keep it nice and clean and just focus on getting better.
There you go.
Well,
you know, Coach, I will tell you this, man. I'm willing to make you a wager. I've been, I'm not going to say Michigan or blue or anything, but we got to have a little wager here. You know, I was going around and I've been at Target. I've been at Walmart, and they don't have some of the gear that you guys have. They don't got none of these nice coats and gear.
You're getting second tier.
Yeah, I'm getting it. We don't get none of the top tier gear. You know, Tyvus was saying that he's in a need for some Ohio State gear. He wears a 3X now. He wears 3X. Tell him, let him know Tyvus now.
Yeah.
3X, send about 3 sweaters, 3 hoodies, a couple of T-shirts.
Tyvus a big fella
Trying
now.
to put on some weight. I'm trying to fill into it, Coach. You got to fill into it.
I think we got to get Tyvus a name, image, and likeness account here. So we're going to get him some gear and a little bit of money.
All just aside, I want to ask this question here. How did you guys go? When I grew up, they had John Cooper, right? We had Eddie George. We had guys, we was going to line up.
Joey Galloway.
We're going to pound the football. You may get 3 or 4 passes if you're lucky. How did you guys turn into the air raid Ohio State Buckeyes? Now, no disrespect to Travion Henderson because he can run the ball. But, I mean, the receivers you guys got, I mean, Smith and Jigba, Olave, Garrett. Heck, we still taking credit for Jamison Williams down in Alabama. How did you guys really just turn into that power in throwing the ball all over the park?
Well, I think if you're going to win the whole thing, you have to be able to throw the ball at a high level, and you have to be able to run the ball at a high level. I mean, you have to be physical on short yardage. You have to be able to run the ball in the red zone. I mean, you have to establish a run and have balance. But you also have to be able to win the game in a 2-minute drill and have to be able to throw the ball at a high level. And when you look at, the national championships over the last decade, that's been the case. So it's something that we put a huge emphasis on. I think it started with Dwayne Haskins and the way that, in 2018 we threw the ball. It created a lot of excitement. It attracted some of the best quarterbacks and wide receivers in the country. And they just saw what we were doing, and they saw the way we threw the ball. And I think, now being the head coach and still being involved in it allows me the opportunity to have a great feel in game for what's going on. But it really comes down to the players and what they've done. But they've grabbed onto it. I think what Brian Hartline's done, Kevin Wilson, our staff has had a huge part in all of this. And so we just want to keep it going, keep it building. And I think, you combine that with what's going on defense right now with the new staff, we're excited going into this first game.
Coach, you mentioned Dwayne Haskins there, so I just got to ask you, obviously it's heartbreaking that a young man has lost his life, but, I don't know him personally. You obviously had this relationship with him very close, I'm assuming. What can you say about what's happened here? It's just very sad.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is it's all very confusing. It's very sad. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around all of it. Dwayne was nothing but unbelievable when he was here, and to know that he's not here anymore and how everything shook out is just very, very confusing to me. And I think about it a lot. And he left a legacy behind in a short period of time, and he won't be forgotten.
No, I know the whole program grieves, and we do too. From a distance, he seemed like an incredible young man, just as good a person as he was a football player, and I know it's been a very difficult time for you and your entire program there as you work through this. Coach, you brought up the NIL a little while ago, and I don't know. I mean, we've seen some changes here in the last decade in college football, just the way we have the playoffs and everything else. But have you seen any one rule change impact the entirety of college football more than this NIL? This is really shaking up college football.
There's no question, and that combined with the one-time transfer rule all happening kind of at the same time. I don't think there's ever been a time where there's been more of an impact. Those two things, because it's a time where there are rules, but the rules aren't very clear and they're not always being enforced at a high enough level. So anytime something like that happens, and you're dealing with some of the most competitive people in one of the most competitive environments in the country, you're going to get hard feelings. And I think there's risk across the board. There's risk if you do nothing, then you're going to fall behind. There's risk if you go too far ahead of it, then you put yourself at risk of getting in trouble or embarrassing the program. The thing that I just right now, the way it is, it's like the speed limit. If the speed limit's 45 miles an hour, how many miles an hour are you willing to go over the speed limit before you get pulled over?
Interesting.
And
Great.
that's where right now it's uneasy, it's unsettling. But we've been focusing our time on trying to figure out how this fits for Ohio State. And we've always done things the right way. We're going to do things the right way, but we also need to make sure we don't fall behind and stay ahead of the game.
Right.
Coach, I ain't going to call them traitors, but you got some former Buckeyes that you're going against in that first week, with you got James, you got Marcus, and then you got, I think Al Washington went over there. What are we expected to see out of this Buckeyes? I mean, I know Coach Mick, after that team up north game and all that, I know this offseason had to be tough because I know Coach Mick personally, and I've been through it. So, what can we expect to see this game one against Notre Dame? Night game in the shoe.
Well, we start off right out of the gate with a huge game, and they have a great program, and they're great coaches. That's why they're there. But we're talking about competitive stamina this year as being the focus. Is that, as you know, Tyler's like, we're not allowed to lose a game here. We just can't.
Correct.
And you win 11 games, you 11-2, win the Rose Bowl, and that's a down year, and that's just part of the expectations here. So we have to start right from the first game. In the NFL, you could lose 4, 5, 6, make the playoffs. We can't do that at Ohio State. So we got to start right from the first game, bring it every week, not have a letdown, stay healthy, and then play our best football at the end of the season.
We're talking with Coach Ryan Day, of course. Coach, I'm curious, we've talked about some former quarterbacks. Justin Fields, it's been a struggle so far for him in Chicago. I don't think they've really helped him much. There's not been much around him. But what is your relationship like with him right now? And are you confident that he's going to be able to bounce back there in Chicago? I shouldn't even say bounce back because he hasn't really been given much of a chance to succeed at this point. But how do you think he's going to fare long-term in Chicago?
Well, it's really about how they want to develop him. When you're taking somebody who's only played 3 years in college football and really only played a year and a half because he played the 19 season, didn't really play much in the 18 season, and then in the 2020 season was cut short because of COVID. And then he steps into an NFL environment. That's much different than somebody who's been playing somewhere for 5 years and has 3, 4 seasons under their belt going into the NFL. So I just think the focus has to be on his development and what they put around him, and playing really good defense, running the football, and start to build him over time. They've invested money in him and a draft pick in him, and he's very, very competitively tough, very intelligent. I mean, all the reasons why you'd want to invest in someone, that's Justin Fields. But, it isn't just going to happen overnight, and I hope they understood that going into it because this is somebody who didn't play a ton going in, but certainly has a tremendous ceiling. So his development over these first 2 or 3 years is going to be critically important to how long he lasts in the league. But I can tell you this, there's not a more talented, competitively tough guy that I've ever been around.
Coach, I feel like you seem like someone who's emotionally invested in your players. And is it hard when a player, I know you haven't been a head coach that long, but when a player goes to the league, obviously so many Ohio State players go to the NFL, so many have success. When a player goes and maybe doesn't have the success that he thought he would have, is that does that hurt you personally? Not the, just in terms of feeling bad for that guy.
Yeah. Because we want everyone to do great. We're pulling for them, and we become fans and try to follow their their career. And so, yeah, that's a big part of, what we do is develop guys to go into the NFL and certainly have a great track record of that. But, we want guys to do well, and that's a very, very difficult league to do well in. But, our guys have done, better than most. And so we're proud of that. But, yeah, we kind of become fans. And after a game, Sunday we come in and do our work. And, at 1 o'clock and before all of our meetings, that in the locker room, all those games are on. And we try to make sure the Buckeyes are on and everybody's cheering for them. So, yeah, that's how we follow them.
Coach, we do an absurd thing on this program. It's absurd hypotheticals. And I was thinking last night, like, what's an absurd hypothetical I could throw at Coach Day? And this is the most absurd thing I could come up with. So we're going to have, I know, this is nuts now. This is nuts. You're going to have to use your imagination. I want normally there's a 4x1 in track and field. But for this particular scenario, it's a 2x1. So there's 2 runners, and each is going to run a 100-yard leg. And here are the teams, okay? Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban are one team, and you and Jim Harbaugh are the other team.
Oh, wow.
Who wins that 2x1 and why?
I think the race may be canceled due to the lack of interest.
No, listen, Coach, if we were to pay-per-view this, imagine the money that could be raised for charity.
Oh, yeah.
If we could, I would pay good money to watch you in track shoes pass a baton to Jim Harbaugh. Actually, I think you would run the leg. I think you would dust Jim. So Jim would run the first leg. He would pass the baton to you. Nick's going to run the first leg for Team Saban and Fisher, and then Jimbo's going to bring it home. I don't know that there's a sum of money I wouldn't part with right now to watch that happen. The interest would be off the charts, Coach.
He's not into it.
Well, I think it may be better if, Coach Harbaugh teamed up with either Coach Saban or Coach Fisher, and I same thing. Maybe that.
So you don't want to be Harbaugh's team?
Yeah, that's right. Can't be Harbaugh's teammate.
Might be a little bit smoother.
Okay, so let's go with that. That's a good idea because I don't know that I could root for Jim Harbaugh in that scenario, and I would have to. So that's a great point you bring up.
Yeah.
So the team then is Harbaugh and Fisher against you and Saban. Who's crossing the tape first?
We would.
Yeah.
I like it.
There we go.
I like the confidence.
Hey, Coach, how hard is it, not just because of last year and what happened, but just in general, and obviously Tyvus can answer this from his personal perspective, but how hard is it, if at all, to, maybe it's easier this year because you're playing a really good team in Notre Dame week 1, as you mentioned, but is it hard to not have the guys thinking all the way ahead to Michigan at the end of the year, or is that not a concern because guys know how to stay focused on the task at hand?
No, I think that's the whole message of the competitive stamina that we're hammering this year is that it doesn't matter the opponent, and that we have to play our best football at the end of the season. You look at some of the games we played last year, against Purdue, and we played a top 10 team in Michigan State. I mean, played some of our best football, really in all 3 phases, but then didn't finish the season, the way we wanted to at the last game of the regular season. So, and then obviously didn't get our opportunity to go play in the Big Ten championship. So. When you're playing a 9-conference schedule in the Big Ten and you're playing Notre Dame as a non-conference opponent, that's 10 games that you have got to bring it. And if you stub your toe at all and have a bad day, then that could ruin your whole season. So, yeah, I mean, we understand, obviously, what that game means at the end of the season. We got to stay focused on every single game, really bring it every week with competitive stamina. But then, we also know, what we have this year. And certainly losing that game last year was very, very difficult for everybody around here. And it's been a while, and that one hurt, and it's going to continue to hurt. And, we remind ourselves that all the time, coaches, players included.
There you go.
And so we're working towards that.
Coach, one of the things I always loved best as a former player in college was getting those team building exercises, whether it's bowling or swimming or doing whatever you guys do. But you guys at Ohio State have taken it to a new level. We have some footage. We have some stuff on paintball. Who would have known?
Look at that. Yeah.
OSU gets it done with paintball. Talk about how that went. How'd you guys come up with that? And how's your aim?
My hit accuracy is not very good. I shot a lot. I don't know what I made. I hid behind stuff because those guys were dying to get me. Yeah, you can see right here. I'm hiding right there. I think some of the players really appreciated the fact that they got a chance to shoot some of the coaches and some of the strength coaches. But our guys wanted to do more things outside of our facility to build, the brotherhood is what we call it here. Yeah. And with COVID and everything the last couple of years, we haven't done much of that. Most of the teamwork we've done is inside the walls of our facility. So we want to make sure that we're doing enough things outside. And that was something everybody could enjoy. Everybody participated in. We had a lot of laughs. And so that was good. That's one of a few things we'll do this summer.
That looked like a lot of fun. Coach, our producer here, before we let you go, Mikey McNuggets, has a question for you. And I want to apologize on behalf of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show in advance of this, because Mikey has this notion that he is a top-flight athlete because he made a couple threes for his college team once.
His Division III
college team. I don't want to disparage that.
No,
but he has a question for you, Coach, and I want to apologize in advance. Mikey, it's all yours.
No, Coach, this is a great question. Hey, thanks again for coming on. Let's pull up 64 to start. These are the measurables. I'm a 5-star quarterback recruit. I don't have any eligibility left, but in theory, if I was, how would you recruit an athlete of this caliber? And before you answer, Steve, let's go to 65. Let's show off the arm. Yeah, this is when I tried out for Blinn College football last year, the home of Cam Newton. And this is the best pass ever thrown on Cam Newton.
Oh, my God, that's horrible.
How you recruiting me?
That is awful throw. He's not recruiting you.
It's pretty easy. What's your name, Mikey McNuggets? We got a lot of McDonald's here in Columbus. So what an unbelievable opportunity to do an NIL deal right here in Columbus. Probably more McDonald's in Columbus than most of the other places you're being recruited. So Mikey McNuggets, already done. Come be a Buckeye.
That's good. Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
I needed that reality check.
Yeah, that was great. Coach, listen,
thanks, Coach.
We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day. We know you're a busy guy, and we know that you're spending 28 hours a day focusing on beating the team up north, and we love to hear that kind of talk because, as you know, the fan base carries that pain as well. All of the best to you and the Buckeyes. Continued success. I can't wait to watch you guys go out there and tear it up, especially with that offense. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a great year, Coach.
Hey.
Go Bucks.
On the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And I think, so we're 3 weeks? This is our third week, guys?
Third week?
Yeah.
So that's my highlight right there, is having Coach Day tell Mikey McNuggets that he could get him an NIL deal at McDonald's.
Well, I love that he was also not even interested in the idea of being on a team with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Like he was so disgusted by that.
Yeah, I can't do that team.
He tried every way. He was like, nah.
He wouldn't even play along if Harbaugh was on his
Love
team.
it.
But guys, imagine that for a second.
Yeah.
The four of them are in sprint suits.
Well, this is the thing. Will they cross the line like that? Are they in shape? Like
Well,
they would never do it. This is my. I live in the
I
world
want
of
a
absurd
boxing match.
hypotheticals.
I'd
Jimbo's
rather see them.
quick. Jimbo's actually got some wheels. Go back to when they tried dumping the Gatorade on him after the Orange Bowl. Jimbo's got some wheels.
For 2 steps, he's a loser.
Listen, Saban's not running. Saban's old.
Saban.
Saban's old. Jimbo got wheels.
I don't know that any of them.
Ryan Day's the youngest.
Yeah, Ryan's going to smoke
Yeah.
everybody. No question about that. I think
I want to see a boxing match, Jay.
Jim
That's
was a
what I wanna
decent
see.
athlete. Yeah, I wanted to go there, but I
It's a little too violent.
it's a
maybe.
little too violent. I thought I love absurd hypotheticals. Can we make that a segment? Absurd hypotheticals?
Done.
Speaking of segment, we do got a segment. We got what the internet's talking about.
And
Oh,
guess
that's
what?
right.
We have a sponsor for that. So let me pull up the ad.
Yeah.
Anthony switched the graphic. And this is, look at that. PCC Airfoils, our favorite. Looking for a job,
Yeah.
career advancement, and
Look at
great
that.
benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wycliffe, and Wycliffe and Rivera are hiring for all positions starting at $18 an hour. Plus, get a full benefit package, paid
he
time
ain't
off,
from
and a
here.
signing
Nice.
bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
That's legit right there.
Boom.
That right there is legit.
Well said.
PCC
Yes.
Airfoils. They're my favorite airfoils.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a second
PCC?
favorite. That's how much I love
Wrong
them.
hand.
Let's get to it. Jeffrey Kovac says, "Love my Browns. I bleed scarlet and gray on Saturday, brown and orange on Sunday. Been a fan since day one. Now, we got to shout you out for being in the comment section. We do read the comments. Make sure you comment on.
By the way, my man
YouTube.
Jeffrey, I know him. He was a Baker Bro too.
Oh, he was? Well, we accept them too.
Yeah.
He's still a Browns fan.
Hey, Baker Bros are people too.
I was to say.
We accept him too.
We accept everybody. Jared Ish says, ask Ryan what his plan is when Hartline leaves, which is bound to happen at some point.
That is
Yeah,
coming.
that's definitely gonna come.
He's going to get a head coaching job very soon.
Shout out to Glen Oak. Shout out to Stark County 330 Stand Up. He's doing a great job. They got like 97 receivers there, so they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Kid Wilson 33 says, this is a great one. We talked about this yesterday. Ryan Day can't touch Stefanski's beard game.
Oh, wow.
That's a great question.
He said
Her beard.
They're both too pretty with the beard.
I mean,
Ryan's beard, though, is
I mean, his
perfect.
beard
I
game
do
is like
agree. I think
wrong.
How
beard
he
game
get
is.
his stuff? So he got some beige
Hey,
or
look.
stuff up in there. With the dark in
If
there.
I had to pick, though, I am taking Stefanski.
And-
That's true.
Why? Because the salt and pepper mix? Or
He
gives
can do a lot. He can do a lot. People are a fan of Coach Day's rosy cheeks. I'm not gonna say who.
Yeah, that's true.
They
Yeah.
love his face. I'm not. I can't say that. You just.
Why can't you say that?
I mean, that's
He's
for them
got
to
nice
say.
rosy cheeks.
I know.
So,
You know.
so
We
nothing wrong
can't.
with
You
that.
know.
You can't
No,
really
look,
say
I think we're all secure enough to say he's a good-looking guy. He's a handsome man.
He's doing his thing.
Give love where love is warranted.
And I'm
with you, G, bro.
Yeah, we can't. We can't call a
Come
grown
on,
man
now.
cinnamon.
You could say good.
That's like
gotta-
that's like Tyvus's name is his nickname is Cinnamon. I can't call Tyvus a grown man jumping routes and receiving.
We ain't doing that.
Cinnamon. We can't do it. And then the last one, Mick the Dog says, "I'm such a Buckeye fan. It's bitter to root for Donovan Peoples-Jones and Chase Winovich, but I guess it is what it is."
Yeah, I know. As a Browns fan, I remember way back when Steve Everett was the center for Bernie Kosar, and he was a Michigan guy. Like, I didn't like him for like a year or two just because he was a Michigan
You know,
guy.
and that's funny because I thought I would feel the same way when I got to the league, but come to find out, them are some of the coolest people
they
you'll ever
buddies.
meet.
Yeah,
like
they all become buddies.
I'm
yeah,
good
they like
friends with-
really
with
cool.
Desmond Howard, and he's like one of my favorite people in the world.
Now I tell them all the time, you made a terrible life decision by
Yes,
going
I
there.
do too.
Like, that
I'm
was,
bro,
I don't know
how
what
does
you
a
were
Cleveland
thinking.
Kid get out of Ohio for Michigan.
And Braylon Edwards, you know, I did like a little mini documentary on him on my YouTube channel. Braylon Edwards, like, really, like, was like salty. Like, he was like, people don't like me here. Like, he really had a thing. But
It's a thing.
It
Yeah,
is. It's a thing.
Peppers, same thing. Peppers was here for a little couple of seconds.
People like
But
him.
if you
I
do
don't know.
well, they kind of, you know.
I know, but the first time he calls for a fair catch on the 3-yard line, I'm like, oh, Michigan guy does that.
JB holds stuff against me.
I remember that stuff, man. I remember
If
that
you're
stuff.
good, it doesn't matter.
And that was what the internet is talking about. And then,
Brought to you by PCC Airfoils.
there it is. Let's do it.
And look, if you're looking for a job, that's a
18 an hour?
solid pay, man.
Airfoils.
That's solid.
You know what I started off at?
Airfoils.
425.
Sheesh.
Come
And
on,
we got
Eric.
Eric Metcalf.
You want a
on the
break or
line.
you just want to go
No,
right
we're gonna
into
do a
it?
break to test the audio, then
All
we'll
right.
come back with
Another quick
Eric
break.
Metcalf.
Eric Metcalf, one of my favorites of all time. Man, this guy could run like a deer. Yeah. Like such a pure athlete. He joins us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This is a legit show, guys. I'm not kidding. I don't know how we got this, but this is a legit show.
Hey, I don't know what the heck's going on, but I like it.
Hey, it's Adam the Bull for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I'll tell you what I think of when I think of Cleveland sports. It's that everybody loves it. I've been to other parts of the country, and there's people that love sports and people that don't care. But in Cleveland, everybody cares even a little bit from every walk of life, and that's what makes this city special. Whether it's football, baseball, or basketball, it doesn't matter. The people of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio love their teams like nowhere else in the country.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of
Order here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost. You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. We'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
We face challenges every day, some bigger than others, and we never know what's around the corner.
Through the highs and the lows, whatever we face it together. Each morning on Go, we are here with the facts, because what impacts you impacts all of us.
And understanding those facts helps us to make informed decisions for our families, our communities, and our future.
We are here for you every step of the way. Go, weekday mornings, 4:30 to 7 a.m.
Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing. I'm like,
Great. Can we just take 1 second to G. Bush is going to lose his You Have the Kicks title on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but right now, Ty's game with, put the Nikes up there, the black gold Nikes that matches the Cleveland is the City black gold shirt.
I'm hating. See,
That's a fight.
These former athletes be coming in here with all these little checks. I know you get a couple checks. They be giving them residuals. He just get a check, just come in. It should be like, yeah, I wore wristbands one day. They gave me $50,000 for wristbands. Get up out of here.
Gee, what did he just say about those shoes? Tell the audience.
I forgot I even had.
Hey, listen, I did. I
forgot I even had these big dogs.
This is the thing. I made the New Year's resolution that I wasn't going to buy myself anything. So I'm going off of shoes I got. And I got like 50.
Nothing?
Nothing. Anything that I want.
Stuff that you need, but nothing that's for you.
Yeah, that
you know what? You're a parent again, a new parent again.
Oh, my daughter's shoe game went through the roof.
But I'll tell you what, I was always the stingiest, most selfish person in the world. I had to have the best shoes, the newest shoes.
Yeah.
My shoe game once upon a time, I know it doesn't look like it now, but it used to be on point.
Dress
you know,
for
when I
comfort.
was 24, 25.
Gave it up.
When my daughter was born, the weirdest thing was I would find myself in the stores not even stopping to look at the newest and latest.
Yeah.
But I was thinking to myself, I wonder, what kind of new outfit we could get for Kirsten. Because I was poor back in the day. When I was 25, I had no nickels to rub. But I used to, it's funny how something happens, and I was not selfish. It wasn't about me anymore. It was like, what can I get from my daughter? And then later when my son was
Eric's shoe
born.
game is?
What's that?
Eric Metcalf.
Eric Metcalf is on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I know Eric's shoe game is still on point.
Gotta
isn't
be.
It? You have fresh shoes, don't you? Welcome to the show, Eric.
I do what I can do when I can do it. But as Jay well knows, I do consulting with Nike Track and Field.
Yes, he does. So listen.
That helps my shoes.
So Eric, who was an NCAA long jump champion, also an Olympic trials guy, Eric has followed my son through his Olympic trials and through his college career. And this is how nice a guy Eric is. When my son was graduating from college, I called Eric and I'm like, look, he'd like to get a deal. My son had he was a 4-time first-team All-American at Division I. And so he could jump. Eric goes, let me hook your son up with my Nike guy. Eric got my son his first Nike contract just by a phone call. Eric sends me an email later and goes, he knows your son. It's done.
Well, if you need somebody now, you need somebody to sponsor some shoes or something.
Hey, you need somebody to cut grass. I do stuff around the house. I'm handy. I get stuff off the top shelf and everything. I can detail. I got a mixtape coming out.
Hey, I tell my kids all the time though, if I wasn't doing consulting with Nike, their shoe game would be weak. There was no way I was going to be paying $300 for some tennis shoes. That's just not going to happen.
Not happening.
It is absurd, but when you got a pipeline from Nike, you get the latest and the greatest. First of all, Eric, I want to start this conversation where all the Browns conversations these days start. I know we have the benefit of a little bit more information than we had when the Browns made the decision to go out and trade for Deshaun Watson. First, I want to get your thoughts on what you thought of the trade at the time, and knowing everything that we know now, would you still do that trade if you would have done it in the first place?
Well, what I thought at the time was it was great. I mean, since he just first said that he wanted out of Cleveland, I was telling everyone, we should just push
Out of Houston.
all our chips in and try to go get Deshaun Watson if we're trying to get better. I mean, Baker did a lot of good things for Cleveland, but at the same time, we're trying to get better. And if you can get a top 5 quarterback in the league, you have to take your chance. And I like that they did that. And now moving forward with all the information, 2 grand juries that there was not enough information to indict him. So I feel good about it. So I think it's the right thing to do. We just have to wait and see what they decide.
Were you able to see the HBO special last night on Real Sports where they talked to 2 of the accusers in the case?
No, I heard about it, but I didn't get to see it yet.
Okay.
It's once again, when we're talking about this, it's a sticky situation regardless of what side you're on, because we know the implications of this and what could happen. But at the same time, when we're talking about football, I like the fact that we went and got somebody who can take us to the next level.
Absolutely.
Eric, speaking of next level, we have some next level running backs. You know a little something about being a running back, obviously. We actually had your running mate Leroy Horde here earlier in the week. Or was that last week now?
Last week.
But anyway, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt is, to me, one of the all-time great. I know they haven't played together that long. I think they could be one of the all-time great running back duos. What say you?
I feel the same way. I mean, like you said, they haven't played together that long, and when they've been playing, most of the time one of them has been hurt, and so a lot of them, they've had to carry the load for most of the game. But I like what they bring to the team, each doing it differently. Nick is a power guy who has a lot of speed. Kareem can do everything, receive the ball, he can rush it and do all those kind of things. So I like what they bring. I'd like to see them in the backfield together more.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah.
Because just because Kareem can move around and you never know what the offense is going to do. And I think, like you say, when you have a Deshaun Watson, the playbook, it just expands. And so there's so many different things that you can do in inviting both these guys on the field and going out there and attacking the defense.
Eric, I always felt like you were ahead of your time. You was like 20 years too early. For what you can do running the ball, catching the ball, just in the return game. So we do have a question from our chat, some of our loyal listeners. Shout out to them. Fry says, ask Eric, who is today's NFL version of himself?
Oh, good one.
Great question.
Well, I don't know if there's a real version. I know I like guys who do similar things, and I would say like Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cooks, Alvin Kamara's, those guys who rush the ball, receive the ball. They probably could return kicks and punts if they needed to, but they don't, just the way the game is played today. But it's guys who can do everything that I see that are players like me. And and you can even throw like a Tyreek Hill in there, because although his primary position is receiver, he could run the ball if he needed to, and he could also return kicks. And so those guys, that's who I like to see. I don't compare anyone to myself because we all do it differently. I just like the fact that guys are able to play multi-positions and go out there and be successful at it.
Eric, I mentioned you and Leroy obviously played together, 4 years, 5 years? I can't remember.
I can't either. I've been concussed.
What was it, 90? I think it was 5, right? I think it was not you. You left at the end of the 94 season, correct? Was you last year?
Yes, I was traded at the end of after 94. A lot of people always say you left. No, I did not leave. I was traded.
My bad. Traded to Atlanta. So you guys played together 5 years. When you split carries with another good back, are you supporting each other? Is it frustrating? You're like, oh, I should have gotten that carry. Is there any of that? How's that work?
The only thing that frustrates you is you're a guy. If you're a competitive guy, you want the ball all the time.
Sure.
But at the same time, we had a room where everybody cared about each other, whether we're playing or not. We're gonna be friends, and so we liked that everybody was successful. It's just a matter of when we get those opportunities. The way football was played then, I wasn't a guy who's going to go out there and carry it 25 times and run in between tackles and be able to sustain that for a long period of time. So you can leave that to Leroy. If you give me the ball 10 times and I can have long runs, and I feel good about it.
I like that.
Yeah, that is a great answer. Eric, when when you look at the game today, obviously it's in terms of the quarterback rules, you don't have any of the old Turkey Joe Jones hits on Terry Bradshaw. That is completely out of the game, and I think a lot of the physicality is out of the game. When you played it, it was still a rough and tumble game. Not that it isn't now, but it was way more so back when you played. Who is the one player that you most dreaded playing against on the other side?
Well, to be honest, I never ever wanted to get hit, so I would say that would be everyone. I just didn't want to get hit, but I will tell you that Chuck Cecil got me good.
Yeah,
he got me good one time, and fortunately he rung my bell and we were on our sideline, so I was about to step back in the game, and Kevin Mack grabbed me like, I don't think you're ready for this. You better. Yeah, so I mean, but you had so many good players out there who could ring your bell, because, like you said, football was different then. But at the same time, I don't think I would have been able to play football when my dad and those guys played, because that was real football.
Yeah, you're right. Your dad's era in the 70s was even more physical.
And we got you perfect segue. We got another one from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show chat room. Lucas05102. You gotta get a better screen name, dog. Lucas says, how old was Eric before he was able to beat his dad in a race?
Ooh, good question.
Really and truly, I was high school.
Wow.
Your dad was still moving?
Yeah, he can move, but here's the thing about it. He was still moving, but my mother and father, they had me when they were in high school. So
he was still a young man.
So he's still young. So while you're saying he's still moving, no, I was moving.
Well, if you were 14 and he had you in high school, he was probably 32.
I was rolling.
You still have wheels at 32.
Did you talk trash? Did you trash talk him when you beat him for the first time?
It wasn't even necessary. You
Yeah.
don't want to shoot the old bull and send him out the back. Let him go, right?
So Eric,
gonna start training again.
Eric, on that note, I remember, and so does my son, and reminds me of it all the time, the day he first beat me in a race, and it was a huge deal for him. I'm wondering when your son was able to beat you in a race, because I know you have a son that's, I believe, is he still playing college football?
Yeah, so he's just transferring to Prairie View this year, so he'll start at Prairie View. He plays receiver. He's 6'4", over 200 pounds.
Wow.
And so and I told him and his friends like a month ago that I would beat them in a race now.
Right.
So I don't know if he can beat me until he proves it. But then again, I'm one of those guys that I'll just talk a lot of noise, never race, and say you can't beat me, and because he would never race. He can't say he beat me.
If it doesn't happen, it can't happen.
Whoa.
I love that. What would be your 40 time right now if we took you to a track? What are you running the 40 in right now?
If I'm healthy, I think I can go out there and run 4.7.
Oh, wow. I got him beat.
That is insane.
I got him beat.
I'm 54.
I know, but still, is he a legend though? Like, I'm gonna say that you beat a legend, like. Yeah.
The word legend doesn't equate to speed.
True. That's true.
and you don't get faster as you get older.
Okay, so we just did an absurd hypothetical with Ohio State football coach Ryan Day. I've got one for you. I see the long jump picture on the screen behind you that's covered Track and Field magazine. It says a new long jump force, and Eric was one of the best in the country. Right now, I take you and the great Carl Lewis, and I'm taking you to a strip. I'll even make it down at Texas because I know you love that strip and you're familiar with it. Who wins that long jump competition right now?
Carl Lewis.
He said that's Carl Lewis.
Carl ain't running no 4.7 right now.
He's a legend. See, we're gonna throw that word back out there. He's a legend, and I am scared to death to jump.
I know that feeling.
It's so rough on your body, and I just don't want to get hurt. I had no major injuries playing football.
Man.
I don't want to go out there doing something stupid and hurt myself. So Carl wins. I'm just gonna give it to him. He takes it.
No,
He wins.
I know that. My son was trying to get me to train for the Masters competition because I was jumping with him up to a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, I'm telling you, I'm looking at the distances. I think you could win this thing." And so I took a couple jumps, and on my second landing, when I hit, I said, it didn't used to feel like this. It felt like I was dropped off a 4-story building and I couldn't move when I hit the sand.
I'm scared.
It has you thinking the sand got harder, right? You don't remember. It was softer when you were young. But
That's what I said. I said they're using different sand now. It was like powder when I was jumping.
It cannot be that bad.
People is upset at us right now.
It is that bad
right now.
People is upset at us right now because we haven't mentioned, if you ain't been in Cleveland, the most memorable Eric Metcalf moment, obviously, is taking 2 kicks to the crib on the Steelers. I remember being at the house, losing my mind. And by the way, when you look at it, I believe you were kind of dinged up. It didn't look, you either had a hamstring or quad or something. You didn't know if you was going to play. What is your memory about taking them 2 kicks back to the house? Because that changed the game for everybody in Cleveland.
Well, like you said, first, I didn't think I was going to be able to play that week because I had a knee sprain from the week before against Cincinnati, and somebody fell on me. And so most of the week I didn't practice, but Belichick had a rule: if you don't practice on Fridays, then you can't play in the game. And so I finally get out there Friday, which I didn't really do much, but I went through the motions and got out there and walked through Saturday. Come Sunday, I'm like, I'm ready to go. And then he didn't, and I was all taped up and everything. They didn't think I'd be ready. So I said, I'm ready to go. I can make this work. And, it's just one of those days. My dad always told me is sometimes that when you get injured, it slows you down. So you see things a lot better. And so that particular day, it seemed like everything was in slow motion to me, even though I felt like I was moving fast. It just seemed like everything was slow motion. They kicked the first one, and obviously there are a lot of great blocks, and we scored a touchdown. And right after that, I always remember Stephon Moore coming to me on the bench and said, "We're going to get another one."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure we are.
Yeah, right.
And then, fortunately, that moment came. It was a great game for whoever was watching that game, regardless of if we won or lost. Fortunately, we won, but it was a good game. It was a good, tough fight game. And, we stopped them. They punted the ball. We got another return because everybody was blocking well again, made a couple people miss, and that was it. And so, you say that's everyone's favorite moment, but it's really not my favorite moment as a Cleveland Brown, but it's like 1B now because I know that all the Cleveland fans love it.
Well, what is your favorite moment?
Yeah. My favorite moment is a game that really doesn't matter. We played in Oakland and I scored the last second touchdown.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
Okay.
And that's because when you're a kid, you're out there, you're practicing shooting a jump shot with no time on the clock. You're talking about hitting a walk-off home run, and then at that time I got to score a touchdown with 2 seconds on the clock, and so that's like something that everybody wants to do when they're a kid, and I got the opportunity to do it in the NFL.
And it happens almost never.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens
rare.
so infrequently.
Eric, let me give you a couple of quickies. I'm going to give you a quick question, and you give me the best teammate that you played with in Cleveland that would fit the answer. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go. You're in an alley. There's 2 guys about to jump you. You get to pick one teammate to have your back in that fight. Who is it? Cleveland teammate.
Kevin Mack.
Oh, wow.
That's a good one.
No offensive lineman. No, you're going Kevin Mack.
Kevin Mack.
You're gonna go like Michael Dean Terry.
All right.
Hey, Kevin Mack used to stand on the sidelines while we were on defense, while the defense was on the field with his helmet strapped up.
Ready to go.
And he looked like a gladiator too.
All right. You're at the comedy club. You have to make the entire audience laugh, and if you do it, you get $1 million. Who is your partner for the comedy show?
Eric Turner.
Eric Turner was funny. Was he making guys laugh in the locker room consistently?
Eric Turner, because he was just silly. Yes, Eric Turner.
All right, you're in a best dressed contest. Best dressed contest. Who's your partner for that one?
Whoa. I'm gonna go with Michael Dean Perry.
Michael
Dean
There it is.
Michael Dean? He was clean like that?
He's still clean.
I
He's
thought
still
you said
clean.
Webster Slaughter. I think Webster was a good dresser, wasn't he?
Michael Dean still is clean every day. You know, he would.
All right.
There's no way he would be sitting there like dressed like you guys are right now.
Wait, what are you saying about that?
Hold on, you ain't.
Hold on now. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm saying the fact that that's how he dresses. Yes.
How he goes.
All right, final thing. You got to take on G and me in a pizza eating contest. That's a tough task. Who you picking to teammate with you on that one?
Just because I think it'd be funny, Leroy.
We might be able to arrange that. we might be able to do that.
Hey, Leroy is just, when you eat a meal with him, it takes an hour because you're laughing so hard. First of all, he dominates the conversation, which is fun to watch. But everybody at the table is laughing from start to finish. It takes forever to finish.
Yeah, Leroy for sure. Leroy, he'd be funny. That's why I said just because it'd be funny, Leroy, 100%.
How do you feel all these years later, about Bill Belichick? First thing that comes to your mind when you think of Bill.
I think he's a great coach, and I think that he was a good coach, and I knew he would be a good coach when he first got to Cleveland. However, he'd just come from the Giants, and he was trying to do it like Parcells' way. We had stubborn veterans who didn't want to do it our way because we had won games in previous years. Yeah. And so it's just a matter of us butting heads and him not getting his system, him not trusting a lot of the players that he had. And so if we would have kept our team together, we probably would have won some Super Bowls or had an opportunity to go there. But because of the way he wanted his system, we were trying to do it our way. He felt it was best to get people away. And so it worked out for him once he got to New England, but I think it could have been a lot better if we would have all got together in Cleveland.
It's weird because we talked last week on the show about this. I thought that Belichick, it was clear that he was going to be a great coach, and I think finally he did decide to do it his way instead of Parcells' way. But Cleveland sort of relived that movie when Eric Mangini came here. I thought Eric was trying to be too much like Bill Belichick, and the players just weren't about that. It wasn't. I don't think it was genuine to who Eric was, and that didn't work either. And I think he was ultimately a much better coach than anybody ever got to see. Do you agree with that?
And unfortunately, it happens because they come. A lot of these times they come from coaches who have been successful and won a lot of games, and so that's what they've learned. They learn how these coaches have run their system, their organization, and they've won. And so when they've been in that for so long, it's like, this is how I'm going to do it, instead of being, like you said, true to themselves. Yeah. These new coaches who are getting new jobs, they do it differently because they're playing football different. They're not playing hard-nosed football with these guys all the time. And so it's easier to go play for these new coaches in different teams.
They all coach like it's Madden. Everybody's going for everything on fourth down.
Right.
I mean, I love it as a fan, as long as it's not my team getting stopped on 4th and 1. I still think that he did it away for 75 years for a reason, and now everybody's going for it on 4th down. We killed the Chargers last year. In a couple instances.
I didn't.
No. I'm saying the decision to go for it killed the Chargers in a couple of huge spots. There were times that we were going for it, the Browns, and I'm like. They're coaching like this is Madden, and you can put it on.
The statistics say
start
go
a new
for
game.
Take the points.
Take the points. Take the points. Hey, we got to do top 5. Mikey McNuggets, our producer, has a pretty cool list, and we want you to play along. Mikey, tell them what we're doing.
Yeah, today's Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative to affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money up to an average of 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. Roundstone.
Eric, who's your favorite insurance company?
Brownstone.
I knew it.
Now that'll cost you.
Hey, see my NIL manager after the show. All right, so what is our ultimate top 5 then, Mikey?
Well, it felt right with Eric on the show to do the 5 best punt returners in NFL history.
Ooh,
so,
yes.
Oh, he
and I know he's in it.
Specifically punt and not just
yeah,
return?
just punt return.
Specifically punt.
Hey,
and we'll start with
before he even goes, if I'm not in it, just stop.
Eric's in it. Don't worry.
No, you're in it.
He's in.
Real quick,
Okay.
honorable mentions. Deion Sanders, just not enough total punt returns to make the top 5.
That's fair.
And Josh Cribbs, great kick returner, not a great punt returner, plus he works for the competition. If he comes to us, I'll put him on the list. But until then, he's not on the list.
All right. Well, I got
So
no
number
problem
5,
with 5.
Desmond Howard, 2,895 punt return yards in his career, 8 touchdowns, and arguably the single best punt return season ever. In '96, he led the NFL in yards, average, and touchdowns, 3 with the Packers.
You good with that, E?
I want him to keep going.
A lot of pressure. We got to see the whole
I will
list.
say, on Desmond Howard, I think I think this is still true. At one time, it was. He's the only guy to win a Heisman Trophy and a Super Bowl MVP. I think that's still true.
That is true.
That's incredible. He's from right here in Cleveland.
And he did a nice robot after he scored. I like his robot.
Yeah, but I hated his Heisman pose.
Yeah, I like the
Unfortunately,
robot.
it didn't happen last year because Joe Burrow could have done
Well,
it.
Joe Burrow's the guy that, nobody's ever been a first draft pick, a Heisman Trophy winner, and a Super Bowl champion.
And a national champion, I think.
And a national champion.
And he's the only one to go to the Super Bowl with those
Yes,
other 3
you're
things.
right.
Yeah.
So I think he'll do it before he's done. Who's number 4?
That's only because I decided to play basketball, not football. Number 4, Rick Upchurch. Wasn't aware of what he did till I started the research last night. In 9 NFL seasons, over 3,000 punt return yards, 8 touchdowns, and he was the NFL All-Decade Team returner in both the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Prove me
Eric's
wrong.
shaking his head, so he approves, right?
Prove me wrong. Upchurch, there you go.
I told you I was coming with the fire on this one.
I mean, yeah, that's a very good one. I got to see him when I was a kid, and he wasn't no Terry Metcalf, but I liked watching him.
You're right. So I'm wondering, is Terry going to be on the list?
He put
All right, we'll see.
We'll see.
Let's keep it
Number
going.
3, Brian Mitchell. 9 punt return
he was
touchdowns.
great.
Third all time. He has the most career punt return yards, 4,999. What a slouch. Couldn't get one more. And his 13 special team touchdowns, ranked 2nd all time in the NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But Eric's smiling real big right now because he's saying, yeah, at least I know I'm in the top 2.
Look at him.
I feel good about it. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I do too. All right, the big question is, are you at number 1? So, Mikey, let's, without further ado, who's number 2?
If I spent the last 3.5 years in College Station and put a Longhorn at 1, I think I'd get roasted. So Eric did come in at number 2, 10 punt return touchdowns, 2nd most all time. He had 4 different seasons leading the NFL in punt return yards.
Crazy.
And up until recently, I do think Eric was the GOAT, but recent history may have pushed him number 2. No offense, Eric. I still love you.
He made this personal. He made this personal.
He
That's
did.
true.
I know. When he went A&M. Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
know. So I think there's no drama here, but go ahead and
let's
finish
go
off
number
the
1
list.
real quick. It's Devin Hester, 14 career punt return touchdowns. That's an NFL record. 3rd all time in yards. Team stopped kicking to him. He might even be higher. And as a rookie, he led the league in punt return yards and touchdowns. But the 14, it's tough to top that.
Now, Eric, let me ask you. Let me ask you: was Devin Hester good enough to make the Hall of Fame as just a returner? Should they let returners be in?
What he did in his numbers suggest that he should be in the Hall of Fame as a returner. I mean, returners are game changers, and they make it easier on the offense by shortening the field. They make plays that change the momentum of the game, and he did enough of that where I think he warranted the Hall of Fame.
Quite frankly, I think you did too. I think you did too.
Me too. and so going back to that, he had 14, which was impressive. I did not. I returned 8 punts in my first 3 years, and they were all in my 3rd year before I got hurt. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't just come in returning punts. Because we had Gerald McNeil,
Ice Cube.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. So I didn't return. I only returned 8 punts in my first 3 years, and then I was the first person to have double-figure punt returns for touchdowns.
Yeah, I love it.
People forget those kind of things. But I have to remind folks. and then I'll let you think about why I should really be number one.
He makes a strong case, Mikey.
Listen, it was a tough decision. I went back and forth, but
no Dante Hall.
He didn't return punts. He was more kicks.
Only kicks.
More no, not only, but he was more kicks.
Now, let me tell you,
just punt return.
Yeah,
yeah,
strictly
but you know
punt.
what? Eric Metcalf was a freaking running back.
I know people
And
forget
a
that he wasn't a
return
wide
man.
receiver. Like a lot of your kick guys are wide receivers.
But he was much more involved with the offense than Devin Hester ever was.
Oh, without question.
So that was a disadvantage in a way for him in his returning.
Hey, Matt, was Billy Whiteshoes Johnson a punt return? He was, right?
He was.
Why was he not on the list, Mikey Mike?
Who?
Because he's too busy worrying about stats.
Billy Whiteshoes. Billy Whiteshoes
You got to worry
Johnson.
about what these guys brought to the table.
Yeah, he was
So Billy Whiteshoes would have
phenomenal.
been on my list.
Billy
Yes,
Whiteshoes
for
would have
sure.
been on my list too, and his
Who you
dance.
taking off though is the question.
His dance changed the game.
Who you taking off?
His dance changed the game. I love Desmond, but I might knock Desmond off of that list. I might.
Yeah, can we vote him off the island?
But Billy Whiteshoes,
Is it 'cause
you remember
of the
his
school
dance,
choice?
Matt?
Slightly.
Yes, of course.
Yep. Oh, his dance. And he was really, for me, there may have been a guy that was doing it first, but for me, he was the guy that brought in the entertainment with the dance after touchdowns.
Yeah, he first.
So I
They
think
let
he
him get
gets
that off, too.
honorable mention points just for that.
Yeah.
Because all the dances that we see today, I think, kind of come from Whiteshoes.
I'm not just saying this because he's on with us and we like him. But if you ask me if I'm starting a team in their prime,
I'm
Eric
with you.
or Devin Hester,
Yep,
to me it's not even close.
I take Eric too. More
It's not even
diverse,
close.
more diverse.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't aware how few punts you returned early in your career until you just told me.
Yeah, that's
I just remember that you took it to the house on at an incredibly high rate. I had a lot of confidence. I used to say watching, he's taking this one.
Yes,
And everybody would tell me, you said that last time. No, but he's taking this one.
And Eric's got more.
And what's crazy about it, I didn't want to return punts when I got in the NFL. I only wanted to return kicks. And it was Belichick, and that's why I only returned 8 in my third year. It was Belichick who came in and said, you're not going to carry the ball 20 times. If you want to touch the ball more, you should probably return punts as well. And that's when I said, okay, I'll do that.
But I got to tell you, for a guy who doesn't like getting hit, I don't think there's anything more terrifying in all of sports, with maybe the exception of jumping into the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime, than standing back to return a punt. You are a target, and there are 11 guys in a dead sprint that want to take your head off.
Especially in those days. There were no rules
man.
protecting the guys.
Well, first of all, when you're back there, they kick the ball up there, but really and truly, you don't have to catch the ball, and your team still gets it.
That's
People
true.
forget that. Your
but
team
you
still
do.
gets it.
I mean,
You can
Belichick-
always throw your. Well, if you have Belichick, then you're expected to. You can always fair catch it,
Yeah.
and then you hope they line drive it to you. Then you run it right back down their throat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Eric, it was great having you on. Thanks for participating in our ultimate top 5 and in our crazy, absurd hypotheticals. I thought you were great today. Hope to get you back on in the near future. And thanks just for all that you've done for Cleveland. I know that even though you don't live in Cleveland, you've always treated Cleveland like it's home, and we've always treated you like you're one of us. And this city loves you, brother, and always will.
Appreciate it.
Eric, you the man.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. The great Eric Metcalf.
Yeah.
Number 2, according to Mikey McNuggets, but number 1 in our
Most
heart.
electrifying Eric
He was
Metcalf.
so much
He's
fun to
lucky,
watch play.
he's lucky number 2 is my favorite number.
Like, get him up
All right,
out of
my
here.
man. Thanks again. Great to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Eric.
All
I
right.
loved that era, the way he would he would tape his cleats. He had the orange tips.
Yeah.
And then the ankle wraps, white. And it was I don't think
Sweet,
anybody
man.
passed the look
Man.
test
All
in a
about-
uniform
all about
better
the
than
look.
Eric
20,
Metcalf.
he had the Dion. Anything but 21 was Dion, but
Yeah.
and you got 21. You had to be the fastest DB
Yep.
or the fastest dude. He had the towel, the long white
Come
towel.
on now. Talk
He
about
had
it,
the
G.
Spat, you know what I'm saying? He had the
Ooh.
wristband game was on point. And he had the Newmans. Y'all don't know about the Newmans.
on, G.
The Newmans back in the
Those were the old wristbands. Were they wristbands?
Oh.
the hand joint, the
gloves. The gloves.
And you can only wear Newmans if you're a '94 baby. You played football in like '92. Like you played when Jerome Bettis played. The Newmans was one time. You wore them joints, you wasn't running them back because they was just made of like paper mache. You just rip right through them.
Yep.
But he looked so good with the all white on him. Like I was like, man.
I remember the orange tips on the cleats.
Yeah.
I remember when he played, just like he was one of I'm in New York, so it's not like I could watch the Browns every week.
Right.
But I like to watch. The Browns were good when he was playing, and he was always a guy that you paid attention to when the Browns were on TV. Where I grew up, because he was fun to watch.
He was a game breaker.
You never knew he could score a touchdown receiving,
you know what?
rushing, or returning.
One of the things I hated, though, and it was not Eric's fault, 3rd and 18 and the delayed draw up the middle with Eric Metcalf. That was Belichick's go-to 3rd and 18.
Metcalf up the middle. People, oh my
That's
God.
because it's a tendency thing. 3rd and long, you think it's draw or
I know,
screen
but
every time.
It's not 3rd and 7. It's 3rd and 18.
Third
like,
and
you
long.
got to drop back and throw the ball.
No, it's
But
because
Bill never did. He gave it to
different
Matt.
time.
Well, you don't want to risk interceptions and all that. So
No, I know, but sometimes
gotta
what
play
would
it
really
safe.
be maddening is Matt would rip off 14 yards.
Yeah.
And now it's 4th and 4.
Yes.
And you're punting the ball away anyhow.
Yeah.
I think what we've learned here today is never punt. Right? We agree on that.
Madden coach.
The statement, don't just take the points, drives me nuts.
I love taking points.
Hate just to take
I love
the
it.
points.
Really?
The vast majority of
win.
NFL
Hey,
games
you
are decided by
take
one
points
score.
off the board.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, and the
Josh-
vast majority of
can
NFL
take
games
points
are
off
decided by
that.
one score.
When Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes took turns scoring in 5 seconds,
Yeah.
I don't care nothing about no field goals.
I don't want to. You don't win with field goals in this
They
NFL.
going right. They going to score. You going to stop him? You're
Yeah.
not stopping him.
Go back and look at
I'm
the,
old school.
Take the Bengals season. I'll just take any team.
Yeah.
Go back and look at the games that were decided by a kick.
A lot of
Yeah,
them.
he had
Many.
A lot of them.
I get it.
You-
He's kicking game-winning kicks.
You
He's
see,
a great kicker.
You see, we drafted a kicker this year.
I hear you.
That's my final take today. Are we doing final takes or no?
So that's the question. Does anyone have a final take? They're dying.
I can
to
push
get off
mine
today.
to. I can push mine to tomorrow.
Push.
G. Bush.
Push.
All right.
We're pushing.
It's the G. Bush push.
We're already 10 minutes into overtime.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up then.
All right.
Jay, let's tease tomorrow. We have Jason Lloyd in studio
Okay.
with us.
Awesome.
We have Chris Rose.
Tell folks that don't know who Jason Lloyd is.
of
Explain.
The Athletic.
Yes, very, very, very good writer.
Yep.
Well versed on all things Cleveland sports.
We
Chris
spelled
Rose.
his name wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's drop it. Hey, Anthony, we got to get the double name checks from now on. That's on us. But we love you, Jason. We will make sure that's right tomorrow.
Chris Rose is on tomorrow?
Chris Rose is on tomorrow.
How did we do that?
He's friends with Steve Becker. Steve Becker's the Rolodex extraordinaire.
Chris is tremendous. Chris is tremendous, and I'm thrilled to have him on. I think I've ever done a show with him. We've known each other for years, and I've always been a huge fan of his, so I'm glad that he's going to be
This
on
is
tomorrow.
Guardians for 5 blocks tomorrow. If you like baseball,
No, hey, that's why I
get
like Chris
your
so
money
much.
up.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Guardians really at all this
Right,
week.
right.
No, well, they haven't done much that
haven't been
really
worth talking
warrants
about.
it. I mean, we dropped a little bit of Mackenzie love after his start Monday.
I got a couple cool topics I'm going to throw in here tomorrow. Maybe how
Tomorrow?
to fix the Pro Bowl. Just throwing it
I
out there.
seen.
Glad they're talking about
Pro Bowl
scrapping it all
sucks.
together, which would be the best way.
No,
to
they
throw
need
it.
to go back to like the old school quarterback throw-off competitions, all that. Like
Yeah,
that was
I
fun.
want-
the game. I could care less about.
I want to.
sucks.
You guys, you're probably too young. You might remember Bull, but they used to have the
Battle of the Network
Battle of the
Stars?
Network Stars.
Love that, yeah.
That's what I want. I want to bring those dudes to a decathlon type event
Yes.
where you put the fastest runners in the 100.
I know.
You put the strongest guys in either a weightlifting or a
like it.
shot put
Let's do it. And it's
competition.
the end of the season, so
long
even if you got
jump,
a little injury,
high
you
jump,
have
like
time.
a basic decathlon.
But they'll never do it, I think.
No, because the risk of injury is too great. But could you imagine if you had the decathlon obviously is 10 events. If each team gave someone for the 100, for the 400, for the 110 hurdles, long jump, high jump, javelin, shot put, discus, why not?
This is work.
because they ain't doing that.
They're like,
It
I
would be fun to
don't
watch.
ever want to win a
Would we
400.
not eat it
400.
up?
That's a
It'd
grown
be better
man
than watching
race.
that terrible game, but there's no way the players are going to ever do that.
That was
No, but
our
I would
winning
love to
test
watch
one
I
year.
think you
The
know what?
league's fastest guys.
You'd be
take-
surprised.
Hey, we're going to have this discussion tomorrow. So
Okay.
save some of your
All right,
takes.
yeah.
That
All
is
right.
one
Way to
of
ruin
my
it.
evergreen topics. So
Very good.
Thank you, Ryan Day.
Yes.
Thank
Huge
you,
thank you to
Eric
Ryan Day.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
And good show, guys.
All right,
All right,
thank
guys.
you very much.
See you tomorrow.
Mikey McNuggets, today was my favorite day overall because Ryan Day used your nickname twice and talked about you getting an NIL deal at McDonald's, which I think could be a thing. By the way, Polk dropped this on yesterday's show. We have to follow through on this. Mike Polk had an idea that we offer an NIL deal. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show offers an NIL deal to like a Cleveland State or a Kent State athlete, but an off-sport athlete, like a golfer or something like that.
Badminton.
And so we pay this person like $250, and we're their sponsor, and they come on and they tell us, funny things that have happened in their life since they got an NIL deal.
Pretty cool.
Hey,
I think it would be
have
great.
an update.
Yeah.
I hope Yak's not going to kill me for saying this live, but how about a CSU fencer for an NIL deal?
I think that's what – is that what –
I'll take it.
Yak says working on it currently.
They actually have a fencing
Yak's on
team?
this?
I just read in text. Yak, I hope I didn't blow your spot.
Okay, so let me just say this.
Very
for the
diverse
audience.
sports at fencing.
Yak is probably the best connected behind-the-scenes sports guy in the entire city of Cleveland. I've worked with some great behind-the-scenes guys. He's number one. He gets things done. He really does.
Facts.
He went to me. He told me about this idea for a show, and then a month later, all this was here. Like, that doesn't happen in the real world.
Yeah.
But Yak was heavily involved, and that's how we got this thing done. Yak will get this done for us.
Tell Yak we need some Red Bulls down here, dog. Get that. No,
You want an NIL Red Bull?
I just want some free Red Bulls. Ain't even got to be Red Bulls. They can be like Mountain Bulls or something.
Yeah, off-brand.
Off-brand.
And last thing
Adam
coming tomorrow,
Bulls.
too. We mentioned it on Tuesday, but we're going to rerun the Bernie Kosar Polk piece and
Awesome.
react to that in hindsight.
Okay,
So
for those
be
that
ready
weren't
for that.
watching yesterday, Mike Polk had his picture taken with Bernie Kosar when he was like 12.
Yeah.
It was at a public event that Bernie was doing. He used to do a weekly radio show, and it was his dad, Mike Polk, and Bernie Kosar. And I had pitched to Mike, we need to recreate that photo all these years later.
Right,
And
so
Bernie bought in immediately. He thought it was great, so we did it. There was a guy in the background of that shot where you can only see his shoulder, and Mike said, because it was your idea, I'm going to give you the shoulder cameo. So the piece is funny. We're going to run that on tomorrow's show. I think everybody's going to get a kick out of it. Typical Mike Polk piece. All right, great show, everybody. Good job.
Right,
we'll reconvene tomorrow. We'll do it again 11 a.m., and we'll be with you for at least 2 hours, but likely we'll go overtime again. Mike McNuggets, great job back there behind the glass, and have a great day, everybody. Enjoy this outdoor weather. It's beautiful out there. We'll see you all tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace up.